Up, everybody? This is Carrick with ACG, and I'm here with Johnny and Abzi for podcast number 466 of the Best Gaming Podcast. I got that out. I feel good. We're like one of the top podcasts in Romania, Botswana, anything with an "a" at the end, except for America.
I never would have thought like we're the best in Romania. That's
Dude,
kind of
it's popped up a couple times where it'll be like, you're number one here, and I'll check it out. And it'll be someplace with like 1% English, but I'm all, you know what? Checks out. They probably just want to see what America looks like.
That like show you the nude titties and stuff.
I wouldn't know anything about that, where they're from, but I appreciate the info. Everybody, thank you very much for joining in. Anybody who's here from Wednesday, we won't repeat exactly the same stuff that we talked about on Wednesday, but we're going to revisit one or two different parts of what we've talked about on Wednesday. We'll do that a little bit in the middle of it. William says, best from Sweden. Thank you very much. We will talk about Helldivers 2 being review bombed. For Helldivers 2?
No, for Sweden.
Oh, for Sweden. Well, for both. We're going to talk about Xbox supposedly going to all systems and how that rumor sort of got started and then collapsed on itself, as all rumors these days seem to be, especially when normal discussions sort of explode into what we're seeing now, this craziness. We're going to talk about Hellblade 2's specs. We're going to go over the Steam survey for hardware and software changes that have occurred, where they run a survey of all the people and they look at the video cards, and it gives you an idea of where devs might aim for the next video card that they're looking for maybe their middle ground on a title. And then we have a bunch of questions and a bunch of things to talk about, as well as checking the brand new news. But the first thing we're going to get to is, what have you guys been playing inside of the chat, and what have you been playing, guys? We'll start with Abzi. What's something you've been playing
today, dude? So I'm still playing, obviously, like Tale of Two Wastelands and stuff. It's like a slow grind. I get in there to listen to some 50s music and kill some mole rats and shit, But today I downloaded Metro Exodus, and god damn, that game is good, man. I forgot how legitimately good that fucking game is, dude. Like I don't. Man, it's giving you how Forza Horizon gives you the best of both worlds when it comes to like arcadey racing, but also kind of sim. It's like halfway, somewhere in between. And I feel like Exodus really nails that aspect. It has really cool weapon stances that feel pretty realistic. The movement is really nice. If for the next game they could just up inertia a little bit and make the weapon sounds better, or the gun sounds, the shots aren't like that good because it was in 2018 or whatever. But what a phenomenal! It just feels really good, and the gunplay is really nice. And obviously,
this is the second time you've replayed this, I believe.
Yeah. I go back to it every couple of years or so. It's just a really good game, man. It's just a really good game.
Anything else other than that?
No, not really. I've been playing some BlazBlue Entropy as my roguelike sometimes when I'm like watching stuff.
Yeah, nice.
Always a fun time, dude. Always play the chick with the. I love playing the girl with the
pistols,
the guns, man. Oh,
yeah,
so good. It's just so much movement, and it's really cool. It's like a 2D Devil May Cry roguelike, basically. That's what it is. A lot of combos and a lot of neat stuff to unlock.
What about you, Johnny? What have you been playing?
Mostly Stellar Blade. It's been really nice. Enjoying the setting and everything. The story is a little bit of a flatliner. A little bit, yeah. But I like the setting a lot, and I like the characters. So it's really enjoyable to listen to them talk, really, even though the story is not like shaking my boots or anything. It's the combination of the setting, the gameplay. Yeah, very, very, very good, solid action game.
Yeah, Abzi and I were talking about on Wednesday. That's like the number one, or like highest rated ever PlayStation exclusive or something like that. Whoa. Super high rated.
Damn.
Now, we were talking about the chances of some of that being related to the fight back and forth between the clothing on the character. Some people, wherever there's talk, there's going to be people, rating it one way or the other, but
that
still.
Stuff was so overplayed. Oh my god. And people tried to virtue signel so much.
It's not in the game. Drama, too much. I don't know about you, Johnny, but even when I put the characters different clothes on, it wasn't really something I focused on.
Like the other day we were in chat and I put on a provocative outfit and it was a funny thing for 20 seconds. And then we like came back to the game itself.
Yeah.
Like that's just a little blip in there.
Yeah. Any other gaming of any kind, John?
A little bit of League of Legends as well, keeping it,
Oh, buddy.
in there working. Yeah, it's like I say, it's my dojo. I step in there and it's like self-improvement.
Do you play TFT at all, or is it just League?
No, just League.
Just League. Dude, I have 200 hours in Dota 2, but all of it is in auto chess.
Oh, really?
I don't blame you. Yeah, dude, actually, Dota 2 has an amazing custom game engine.
Yeah, that's where the auto chess genre came from, basically.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, and there are some really, really good recreations of old custom maps from Warcraft that are great in there.
really
You can
cool.
go in and play, Footman Frenzy, some of those classics.
Nice.
Yeah, it's
How
pretty
Dota
good.
was the custom game for Warcraft, and now you got Warcraft.
Yes, now it's in. Yeah, it's great.
Do you guys find yourself? So you have most of your hours in auto chess. Did that ever cause you to go back and play the actual game?
The actual game, that entered my mind a couple times. I had my friend coach me so I used to play a lot of League of Legends, and that game has some macro stuff like map objectives, obviously, and stuff to win the game. However, it's very, very heavily on player skill and the micro mechanics, like how you move, how you attack, if you land your shots and all that stuff. Dota, I feel like, is the opposite. It still has like heavy heroes, like some near RTS heavy heroes, where you're controlling multiple, and there's a lot of cool stuff. But I feel like it's more focused on the macro, where there's so much stuff in the map that you have to know, where it can be overwhelming getting into it because you have to know what to do at all times, or else you just fail.
Yeah. I found that with mods or any of that kind of stuff, it doesn't really ever pay. It's like, if I listen to an artist's side band or whatever, I don't go back to the artist's main band. I don't do the same thing with the games. I usually, if there's a mod
or something.
Or a cover or something like that, I find myself just basically sticking to whatever it is that the original was doing. I don't know why. It just doesn't translate into a sale, almost like a salesman would do.
For sure. It's like people that solely play Stalker Anomaly and never really actually played the Stalker games.
Yeah.
Because Anomaly creates a new sandbox environment for even more mods to be added to it.
Yeah. I have been playing Fallout 4 a bunch on the Legion, as well as some Starfield to test that. The beta for that, testing the Unpatcher, the patch for Fallout 4, which has been both. It went fine. Yeah, I haven't kept the Unpatcher in because I've got lucky, I guess, and my mods pretty much work on Fallout 4. So I tested it to see what it does. There's some big wabbajacks that are like, hey, you need to run the Unpatcher, which was nice. Even if they haven't been updating in a while, they go back in and they say, if you want to run this, what is it called? The big one, like Magnum Opus, which is one of the huge Fallout. But I mean, dude, it's like 200 gigs.
Saw that one. Yeah.
That's a monster, huge. And it changes more than I think I want. Yeah, the premium for Nexus files.
So that it could download fast.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been paying that for a long time because I do mod a lot. But we talked about that last time. It's like I get why some people wouldn't want to, pay that, but to me, I think it's pretty fair. I think
Yeah, it's very fair.
They're supplying a bunch of.
I just use it when I mod
bandwidth. Yeah. Did you mod Exodus at all?
No, actually, I didn't
you
even
just play
check.
It.
I didn't even check. I should check. I want to add leaning to it if possible.
Oh, you mean like
great.
QE?
QE, yeah.
Yeah,
I got so used
I get
to
what you're
that.
Yeah. Welcome, Big Mac. Welcome, everybody else. One of the things I want to do is point out real quick, we are live. So when I go unlive and this goes onto YouTube, it takes YouTube about an hour or two to turn it into 4K. Then it'll take my edits, which can be anywhere from 3 to 9 hours on a Friday. So I see people going in there going like, why is the music still starting or blah, blah, blah. And first of all, there's a time link. You can click that. It's literally one click. Just click it and you'll be there. As for timestamps, we do have some really nice commenters who've stated that they'll do timestamps. One of the problems is when you make that adjustment, all timestamps are wrong. So once YouTube does their edit, then any timestamps posted prior to the podcast going live. I checked with other streamers because I keep hearing people say, I can't believe it doesn't have this or it doesn't have that, but they post and ask within like 1 minute of it going live. So I was like, am I missing something on YouTube? I am not. It's unfortunate. It's just the way it goes. YouTube at one point in the future, maybe just let us, maybe they'll just let us make those edits like right away, or say, maybe there's a section I would love to see when I start streaming. It says, is this your opening section for the people watching live? And then the moment you go live or whatever, it cuts that off from the video that goes up. But unfortunately, at this time, it does not. I just wanted to inform people. So yeah, so Starfield, Fallout, I've been enjoying the hell out of that. The Legion's a monster, man. The idea of playing, it's crazy.
Fuck it, I'll buy one, dude. God damn it.
No, that's not why I said this. That's not why I said this.
I know.
But I was thinking, okay, I'm going to jump over to, what do you call it? I'm going to jump over to to play Fallout in the first place. I'm going to just go ahead and get into it. Then when I started doing it, I thought I was going to stream it first from my PC. And instead, it installed accidentally to the Legion, because I was on the Legion at the time, and I meant to hit like play on other device, and it said install. And I saw the install pop up. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm just going to install it and see how it runs. And I was talking to a Moodski in our Discord, and he's like, dude, this thing is running good. And man, was he right, especially when you do the mods that you normally do with the Legion. That is crazy to be playing.
Man.
Like, there is no reason for me currently to play it on my main device unless I was going to, say, run powerful, EMBs or something, where maybe that would bring this to its knees. But and hats off to those guys who make textures look better and yet somehow use way less memory. Again, shout out to them. You guys are doing God's work. Whoever's out there doing that kind of stuff. I don't know how you do it, but please keep doing it for every single game.
You unlocked a new itch for me. Is just Bethesda looting while chilling on a couch. You know what I mean? Or surveying planets while chilling on a couch. Honestly, that would be amazing.
Dude, that's definitely a thing. Bethesda looting. It's a very specific.
Yeah, it's very, nobody really hits it that well. Honestly, say what you will about Bethesda. Yeah. Something they also didn't change for a long time is how good their looting is. So
yeah. And it's weird because I will have a TV show up at the same time, and I'll have my Legion in front of me, and I'm looking over the top to watch the TV show as well, and it's awesome. It's something that if you wanted to go in cheap, you could get a Chinese knockoff that runs Windows, in the $200 range, or get one of those devices that or Android that does all the streaming, your Moonlight, and you can do the same thing there without having to run it local. But Gaming Addict, $2 super chat, never able to catch this live, glad I can. What's up, sir? I hope you're doing well and enjoying some Xbox news, because I know you guys love your Xbox stuff. We will definitely be talking about the Xbox news in a little bit. Appreciate you joining in. Cult of Carl, $5 super chat. Hello, ACG. Do you do interviews, and how would I contact you to do one? So I'm thinking he means, do you mean me? If you mean me, like, would I do an interview on somebody else's channel? Yeah, we do those. You just have to get a hold of me on Twitter, probably. I don't do a lot because I find it sort of boring if it's like, how did you get started? And I love the fact that people are interested, but after a while, you can just look up on YouTube and say, how did he get started? So if you want to talk about gaming stuff and just an invite to a podcast, hanging out, talking a little bit about that, but a lot about games, I'll put it higher in the, in the queue, I guess. But I definitely appreciate you posting that super post. It does help the channel. Next up, let's talk about a couple questions that we had got in the Discord that I thought were pretty interesting from people. Knucklehead asks one that's really too convoluted. We'll get to it in a second. Not convoluted, complex. We'll get to it at the end of the podcast. But A1 Nagel, this is a Discord super chat. He says, what region of the U.S. or world would you like to play in the next Fallout game? So we know the next Fallout game will not be somewhere else. Where in America? Florida? What about Florida? That would be amazing. I don't know what Florida would look like in Fallout future. But yeah. Imagine the
needs to be
storytelling they would put.
Florida Gen, dude.
Florida Could it be like Minnesota or somewhere really cold, like just balls cold?
Yeah, do a full nuclear winter, kind of, almost like Atomic Heart kind of thing. Yeah, well,
Miami
I guess
Beach,
I don't know why I said that. Stalker.
Miami Beach would be the new Vegas, new Miami Beach. and you'd have like irradiated alligators and crazy ghouls that have lived pre-war, right? So they're one of those
mutant alligators.
It's twerking ghouls, man. Oh, dude.
Do you know what
That's
else would be
banger.
nice is their environmental storytelling is good, so you'd find skeletons in compromising positions and shit that made you go, like what was going on when this all happened? Yeah.
Do you
I
think there would have been like an Instagram alternative in the alternate timeline?
Oh, in the alternate timeline, when you see a skeleton in mid twerk, you see like a skeleton with its ass out, and you're like, why? I don't know.
Like this.
Died with its butt out. That would be awesome. What else? Dallas Gaming Addict says Dallas would be good. One of the main, as long as the place had a main city, because I don't want to lose the city part.
Yeah,
I don't.
I think that's some of my favorite stuff in post-apocalyptic, like I Am Legend, those movies that do the
Ruined
city
cities.
really well. Yeah, I absolutely love the fantasy of like it's a city to yourself, if you can survive.
Well, bear with me, but that's why, and I don't know the lore enough to remember if this is still up and available as a place, but Denver, because it's so high, and there's different weather that you could have there, but you have a city as well as right outside you have your plains and your,
True.
so you would
almost
be
got
able to
like
mix the
different
two.
biomes.
Yeah.
in Denver.
Wait, New York New York is something they haven't hit yet.
Right.
New York
No
City,
DLC
right?
hit New York?
I don't
Or is
think
that
so.
no DLC jump to New York? Yeah. People are saying Seattle, that'd be cool. Cali, New York, Chicago, Miami, Florida, man. I think we all agree, as Abzi said, this next gen feels like it's going to be the Florida gen. Like,
That'd be great.
SBZ says, what I'm trying to say, the game is not just horny bait. The gameplay is actually good. That AC. Oh yeah, you're talking about Stellar Blade. Yeah, the gameplay is actually quite good. It reminds me a little bit like if The Rock was a main character in a game, you would look at it and go, "Why is he in here?" But if the gameplay is good, then I would pretty quickly just be like, "The gameplay is good," and that is very much what's happened with Stellar Blade. Let's see.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? Isn't Canada technically part of the U.S. in the lore? Oh, in the lore, I think it might be. Yeah, that's a good point. The lore is different, of course, than
but
all
like
of the
Fallout
others.
Toronto would be so boring, dude. What Fallout Saskatoon?
Yeah. Well, eradicated
Fallout
moose just
Alberta,
running
dude.
around, just the moose boss. You're like, what the fuck? What do I hear outside? And you just hear one fucking bugle. Just,
Fallout,
no!
Fallout BC, and everyone's just high as fuck.
Yeah. Right. That'd be like a Cali town. I do like the idea. They say, U.S. invaded Canada. This is Necro saying U.S. did invade Canada in that. So whatever they do, I like the idea of staying in America. They stated that they sort of wanted to keep the mystery alive, but I do think the idea of maybe I like the storytelling of maybe having different people that have come from other areas into your game from other nations. But I do like the idea of the mystery. I do wish there were more books, novels. I think that would be a cool thing, audiobooks to follow along, branch out the narrative in a way like Ubisoft does, because Ubisoft has like 9 comics, prequels for Far Cry 5 and a couple others. I like that stuff.
I never got with those ever. I remember my friend almost forced me to read all the Halo stuff before playing Halo 4, and I never really did that. I've never done that. Yeah, I don't think.
Halo's book, the first one, is quite literally how you play Halo 1. It is a weird book. Like Master Chief goes through the sections, the 3 open, and it is. He even talks about going down the corner and going down, and there's a locked door, which is what happens in Halo. In one of the first places you go, there's a locked door. You have to go all the way around, and you're just like, dude, this is. And I mean, it's close. Game. And then Far Cry 5's was awesome because then it makes Far Cry 5 like the little alerts people leave on voice machines and the little warning posters you get. The writer went and played the game, and so it's all mixed in. And so when they talk about a random building, you might find that random building in the game, which that's fun to me. I like that kind of cross-media. Transmedia is what it's called, I believe. Let's see. What else do we have for super chats that we can get through before we jump directly into this? Gaming Guitar Alejandro, thank you very much for your chat. Let me throw this up so people can read it. People can see how much of a star you are for getting on there. Superstar status right now. He says, what's contributed the most to you being invited to game events such as previews? Video game developers watching a review, whether they agree or disagree some of the tech stuff I've talked about. And I think for the most part, sound, music, and voice have been big because I've had a lot of composers reach out who don't feel covered. Or the conversation about music turns into some weird, it sounds like this other game. Is it too much like the other game kind of stuff versus just looking at what the music and sound is in a game. So yeah, those would be the major reasons I would say overall. And last but not least, for a little bit, Froggy Timbers. Here is his question. We've been asked it, but we're going to answer it again. What's a game or series that you guys think deserves a sequel, reboot, and why do you think it would or wouldn't get one? Let's talk about a reboot, a true reboot. Let's talk about a game that was a one-off and why we'd like to see a reboot. How about that? Let's change the question a little bit since we don't, because we have answered that many times. Is there a one-off game? I would say you can't do it, but the Spec Ops: The Line has a pretty incredible storyline, which is where at the end you find out you're the bad guy kind of stuff. That would be cool. You couldn't do it with him because he's probably in friggin', military jail. But I would revisit that world. Is there any worlds that you guys would like to see get a reboot?
Dino Crisis would be incredible.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why they wouldn't do it, actually. It has a really, that seems like a safe bet for them to do.
Yeah, Dino Crisis, the Resident Evil of dinosaurs.
With dinosaurs, we don't see a lot of stuff with dinosaurs outside of multiplayer.
Yeah, or
games.
Horizon, and even it's not really dinosaurs as much as just
mechanic
robots.
Fair,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
That's a good one. Any from you, Abzy? Like an older game you really liked, you'd like to see get a reboot?
I was gonna say Cyberpunk as a joke, but now I'm trying to think of a real answer. Damn, Turok? Let's go with Turok.
Oh man, Turok getting a full reboot, like not the little touch up that we've seen it get, but getting
full on, just open world, maybe survival. Not like the survival that you hate, but like survival mechanics in a dinosaur world type shit, like Rambo but with dinosaurs.
That would be cool. I'd be all for that. I love the games. What's up, buddy? Thank you for always showing up in the streams. He is asking, he says, everyone at work was given gourmet cookies except me and my girlfriend. So I have two things to ask. One, you and your girlfriend both work at the same job, it sounds like. And you're saying everybody was given gourmet cookies, but you guys were excluded? That seems sort of dicky. That seems like whoever's giving out the cookies doesn't like them.
I have a further question. What makes a cookie gourmet?
You know what I think of? The fancy designs on the top. Like if it's got, swirls or something. Like a presentation. Like a presentation. Yeah. That's what I think of, or the ones that are highfalutin with the other taste to them. Yeah. Chocolate and like boysenberry. Like normal is cherry. Cherry's your poor man's gourmet. But when somebody starts putting multiple syllable words in there, you're like,
and they're softer, right? Like fresh out of the oven.
True. I don't like any kind of cookie that you bite into and it explodes into dust.
Breaks.
Yeah, where it's like in your mouth.
Oh, the crumbly ones? You don't like
I'm
those?
not a fan. Yeah, no, I know a lot of people are. I like soft, like a soft peanut butter or soft chocolate cookie, man. Yeah. Soft chocolate
those are
cookies.
Good, like the big ones. You take a big, like chewy.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And you can eat them without worrying about it in front of other people or your beard, which is what happens to me a lot of times is the beard. The beard gets in the way. It's just straight up how it works. The next one is, let me grab this and put it together, and then we'll jump into the topics. Greg asks, real question, two questions. Are any of you familiar with the Legend of Drizzt books? Those are the ones, the Shadowrun books, or not Shadowrun. I don't know why I said that. The Baldur's Gate. They were in the same world as Baldur's Gate with the Dark Elf, and think you'd all enjoy them. Second, any of you seen the survival game Scum? It's EA, but close to 1.0 release. Thank you very much. So the first is, I've read the books. They are great, but they are very young reading. Be prepared if you haven't read them. Anybody who's watching, they are in that
like young adult
9th grade. Yeah, they're still advanced compared to most of those, but yeah, they're pretty good. And then Scum. Abzy's played it, right?
Yeah, I played it with friends. It's fucking fun.
It's been around forever, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. I played it
Feels like
before
it,
the
yeah.
update where they introduced planes and parachuting and stuff like that, and found like someone that drove us around and then invited us to their area and
Their camp or
helped us
something.
out. And then we did some crazy shit. Yeah, it was fun. I remember my friend running through this like bunker and bopping people in the head with a shovel that had like full on gear and weapons, and we got looted and stuff. It was a fun time, man.
I
didn't
like
know it was
Scum's
close to
idea of how
1.0.
they do skills, which is like if
Yeah,
somebody's
yeah.
level of awareness is higher, they will see a person easier in the forest than the other
Yeah,
person.
yeah.
Like there's a graphical change going on. I think that's an amazing way to handle skills in a
Yeah, and
shooter.
they handled third person in a way, because remember one of the biggest issues with third person is that you could see behind walls.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
have a mechanic for that. Yeah,
Edge peeking.
it's really cool.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know how many skills do this, but I know that when I was reading a bunch about it, they had at least 2 or 3 skills that were graphically represented on screen in a different way, and I thought that was fantastic. But you know what they should do, dude? All these companies should have some PR announcement ready for when another company screws up, and a little patch ready so that they can re-release it. They can be so this Tarkov costs $250. Well, guess what? We've got this little mode here that we've added and release it like 2 days later, so it looks like you worked on it.
You know what would be funny? Thinking about that. If they did ads for games like they did for cars, like I don't know if they still do this, but you had like Jaguar versus Mercedes, was it?
Yeah.
Where they have like the confrontational ads where they're like, here's your chicken, and they run over it or something.
Ford and Chevy were the big ones. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Ford and Chevy, they were huge for a while against each other. And so the first one showed I think it was the Ford with a Chevy on its rear, on its back, the bed, and it was pulling it up a hill. And it was like Chevy's number 1 or whatever. But then the next one was Ford pulling like 9 with one on its back. And it was like, but here's the best truck or what. So they were going back and forth like Nintendo does what Genesis don't.
Just
that kind of stuff. They were one-upping each other. That shit was great.
Yeah.
Reading choices here. Strider as a remake would be, or a reboot would be cool. I would love to see Strider. Resistance. I would love to see Resistance. Those are good. Manhunt. Manhunt. You can sell Manhunt, right? Yeah, you can get Manhunt out in today's day. In today's
that one
market.
Could be pretty rough, right? With really realistic graphics.
And Manhunt was like Punisher kind of stuff. You got up and close and personal in that shit. Parasite Eve.
Hatred.
Hatred. Oh God, Hatred. Man, I forgot about that. Let's see. This isn't only the best gaming podcast, but also the hungriest podcast. You make me hungry every time you talk about food. Yeah, it is true.
I know we always get hungry.
Dude, Thief, but actually,
Thief. There you go.
Actual good one though, not
there you go.
Full reboot.
Yeah. Full reboot of Thief, man. Go find Spectre, whatever he's doing. What's it? Yeah,
he's out there. I'm seeing him around in the
he showed up on a couple podcasts recently too. Who else worked on Thief? There were a couple people who worked on Thief. I would love to see that.
A lot of people work on Arcane now. A lot of people. All these immersive sim devs went to all these a couple different Deus Ex company. I don't know what the hell happening over there, but
I don't think anybody does.
No, it was cool to see though. Like a bunch of Arcane devs got together. I think it was a bunch of Arcane devs, or maybe one Arcane dev and other people got together and did a whole expansion for Thief, which is absolutely insane. Apparently, it's like huge levels and runs you 20 to 30 hours.
Yeah, that one was a pretty insane thing that they just added for free, just a mod.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I would love a great Thief sequel. This is Rogério. Good thing we at least got the fan missions. Oh, that's what he's talking about. Yeah. Legacy of Kain, Hunter the Reckoning, Time Splitters. That's the third mention of Time Splitters. The Suffering, Run Like Hell, ActRaiser, Mass Effect 1. Mass Effect games have got their reboots, man. I don't want Legendary Edition, right? Legendary. Yeah, it wasn't so legendary for me. Did you guys do the Legendary Edition of Mass Effect? Did you go back?
That was my first playthrough of it. Like full playthrough, and it took me around 98 hours to get through the three games, and it was fantastic, man. It's great.
That's not bad. Just 98 for all three is not a bad. That's a good solid time.
Yeah,
just 30 kind of thing.
Yeah, and it just felt like a grand adventure, like a grand trilogy adventure. And I was talking to my friend about this, like with Lord of the Rings trilogy and all that stuff. There isn't much of that You know what I mean? Huge scope, kind of massive odysseys and adventures. You know what I mean? That span multiple games. You know, that shit is always cool because you get attached to all these characters and they go through with you, and obviously your choices and who you kept alive. So everyone means much more by the second and third game. And yeah, it was really cool.
I've been spending time doing this video. This is like the second week. It's 101 video game quotes or speeches, my favorite ones. And a couple of them are weirdly enough from the DLC of the Mass Effect, where like something happened in the DLC, Leviathan and a couple others, that I've been quite surprised how good the writing was. It almost felt maybe slightly better in the DLCs than it did.
Definitely one of the DLCs in Mass Effect 2 I liked way more than anything.
Yeah, I don't know what goes into that or if they're doing it at the same time, but it felt like it was a little bit more cohesive. And maybe it's also because it's a tight section of time that you're doing. Yeah. It's almost like a side, here's a side mission or side heist. Yeah. Let's see. People are saying crunchy cookies. I don't know what to say, man. I don't even know if we can continue the podcast. What kind of crazy man? You got to be homicidal if you're eating like crunchy cookies. Dang it.
Full crunchy.
Just, and it explodes. First thing up, let's talk about Xbox. All right, so Jez Gordon was talking in his Discord, talking back and forth, and they snipped out one section, which was basically that he's been hearing that everything, everywhere, all at once kind of stuff, that all games are going to other systems. This is a rumor we've heard before. We've heard is true, not true. He's talked a little bit about it on Twitter, but in the end, I think we've come to the point now where the Xbox, PlayStation rumors about what PlayStation's doing, what Xbox is doing, a lot of it has come down to me to looking at their leaks. The leaks seem to be really accurate, and the leaks have pointed that some games are. I think in the future we will see these companies make huge changes, but I don't know if you guys even really have anything to add, but it's pretty much the same thing we talked about in December, or maybe it was right when I got back after the freeze, February maybe. But there were the big leaks and the event that Xbox did, and it's like, here, we're trying out some games. I do see in the future that they'll try out even more, and maybe they just want their own hardware, that if you want to get their hardware, like you can get a Lenovo like Abzi has, but it doesn't mean a guy over here who's running, PC Gaming Center PC can't play the same games as Abzi does. I feel like that might be, what we see in the far future. But, do we have anything to add to the whole games on? I think we're in the midst of it. It feels like it's just everybody's testing the waters due to the way gaming's going. I don't know if you guys have something to add to good or bad.
I think I've said what I've said already. I'm all for it. And I think it'd be really cool and makes more sense to me to see more homogeny between a lot of different devices, ownership being across multiple platforms, and they've already been doing that since I think halfway through the Xbox One release, when they're homogenizing PC and Xbox. I want to see even more where Xboxes are literally just PCs, but curated PCs or whatever, and they're maybe running Steam and stuff like that would be really, really cool. And timed exclusivity works. I think if people want a game really, really badly, they want it before the 2-year period. They're not going to wait 2 years if they really want it that bad. So that works for sure. And then I don't see anything wrong with releasing on other platforms 2 years after. I think it's the smart thing to do, definitely. And I think it's honestly the right thing to do for other people to get their hands on the game. So I see it as a win-win-win, but some people may disagree.
Yeah. What about you, Johnny? Anything to add to all that?
I think one thing that I think about is for sure having parity between Xbox and PC. I don't know if this is still the case. There used to be some times where a game would come out and it would be Game Pass, but only Xbox.
Yeah,
not PC.
That definitely was a thing.
Yeah, and I think they've pretty much solved that. I think it's now almost always, guaranteed, like both. Yeah. So that's good. What I like to see there is quality of life in terms of playing in both systems. So if you have, if people have a big house, they have an Xbox in one place, a PC in another. If they can boot up the same game in the other system and have like seamless cross save, I don't know the status of that. I think it's only some games currently.
Only some, but more.
Yeah.
Every day. Yeah.
I think that's what I really care about is cross-play, cross-save for the systems where you can do it. And for multiplayer, yeah, cross-play, I think is really important, because we've seen cases where even on PC itself, a game runs on
Steam
Game
and not
Pass,
on
but it doesn't
Epic.
play nice with Steam. Yeah, and that's a bummer, man, because we had several people playing Darktide, but they couldn't play together in our Discord because
that's one major thing.
Yeah, and it's tough because you already have your characters in one platform. Now you don't really want to start from scratch to play with the people, you know, that happen to be on another, and you can't easily like carry your save or whatever.
I mean, we know MLB came. That was a Sony, produced one, but that was more Major League, charging a bunch for the IP and maybe wanting it everywhere. So it's really a non-starter as a discussion. But I think that especially as you look forward in the future, and we're seeing people play everywhere. At one point, the developers themselves, who make them or who are getting the income, are going to be looking at your Switch and your whatever your other systems come into the fray, whatever they are, ARM. We're just getting to this point to where gaming is consolidating as being games, not on the hardware. You're seeing it like streaming, you're seeing GeForce Now, you're seeing Xbox, you're seeing PlayStation. All these guys are saying, well, if you want to do it here, if you want to do it there, we do care. We do want you to buy the hardware. But one of the things I was surprised about was just, again, we said it on Wednesday, is how small the console, the growth is. It's just not there. And it's like, you see these companies looking and going, where is it? And now we're hearing it's in these other places that they're not really a comparison to a PlayStation or an Xbox or a Switch. They're their own thing, and they want to do everything. People want to play it. And could we get at a time where there's boutique consoles that are really just there for the boutique player that maybe offers something different technically, but for the most part, everybody gets it in most places? I do see a lot of companies testing it. And the third-party exclusivity does make sense. I'm not saying I like it. I'm saying from a business standpoint, if a company wants to sell you their platform, they're like, hey, let's be exclusive here. But I think we just are at a time where that's not being paid out as much. We're starting to see them trying to make money in other ways, which is like, let's release them all and do PC and PlayStation first. Then maybe we'll look at Switch. Maybe we'll port it there. We haven't seen the Switch 2. And then handheld devices, or, vice versa, going from PC to the consoles. So, yeah, I said there wasn't much to say, but there isn't really, because it's all up in the air. It's a weird time, man. I go into my Discord and there's nobody there who is even platform specific anymore. It's just not there. They're like, I play over here and I play over here, and I got this because it's cheap. Oh, I got a Series S because it was cheap and I can do Game Pass on that. I don't have a PC, so I got GeForce Now. I don't have a PC, so I got a PlayStation. It's so all over the place that, it just seems like the future is open for anybody who tries to really take advantage of it. That's the one thing. Taking advantage of it is important. I don't know if anybody's done the greatest job. I feel like that's the one problem, is that Microsoft has tried and failed a couple dozen times. Sony's tried, did pretty good with Hellblade, or Helldivers.
In the right direction. I think they're still heading in the right direction, though.
It feels like it. It's just that they haven't been able to take advantage early. The systems don't seem in place. Crossplay,
well, they've been
HDR.
trying for a while as well, especially with crossplay. When they tried with Sony to just have crossplay, and Sony didn't want to. Remember?
Yeah,
they were trying. I feel like they've been trying things for a while. I think they saw it coming.
I think when you look at like HDR and stuff like that, there were times where the Xbox version would work and Windows wouldn't, because Windows HDR was borked for so long. Those little ads are going to go away to where it won't matter anymore. If you had an HDR TV, maybe you did make a purchase based on that. Not so much anymore. But we'll have to see what the new systems offer. Interesting discussion overall. Once again, it was just some people talking, and then it got blown into something that was, just absolutely crazy. I think cross-save and cross-play are your most important things right now. Cross-save and cross-play are, there's so many people who are playing across 2 devices minimum, if not 3, and they want to be able to play. And the companies want you playing that game in a hotel room somewhere. They want you there. They want you enjoying it.
And they're realizing. Sorry.
Go for it. No, go for it.
They're realizing also the player base. They're aging. They're getting older, and a lot of people have jobs where they have to travel a lot and be on commute and stuff like that. So those are all solutions for that as well. Because before it was just like, hey, I'm at my parents' house, and I'm just, I
Yeah.
have my console, and I don't have the
And they
most
have
money. I
kids
can't have all
and
these
stuff.
platforms. Yeah.
Did you guys
Exactly.
ever do this? I used to grab the old
The average gamer is like 30 now. Sorry.
original. No, that's all right. I used to grab my original Xbox or whatever and put it in a bag and take it somewhere.
Yeah,
when you
me
used
too.
to take your console
100%.
Yeah, in
somewhere.
their backpack for sure.
100%. And the GameCube was great for that because it had a little handle and it was a small form factor, so it was easy to take around.
Some companies took advantage of that and made little little special ones. I know I saw one. I think it's Series S with a LCD on it. Just like, dude, seriously.
I do miss, in a weird way. It's great that right now, all the portables are gonna be on the same playing field as consoles and PCs. But I really do miss like the Game Boy Advance SP and all that stuff, or the DS. I never really owned a DS, or the PSP where it had its own titles for like little form factor stuff. But now we're seeing indies obviously everywhere, 2D, 3D games, whatever, it's all together.
Yeah, remember when the Game Boy, like they were trying new stuff all the time, 3D Game Boy, like Virtual Boy, whatever. There was this experimentation in the hardware that is, I think, somewhat gone away. There's been tech fixing in the hardware. And there's been really cool stuff by the people at Microsoft, Cerny, those kind of people, but there hasn't been, like phones are going back to flip now, or
Really?
Or what do you call it?
Yeah, I saw one,
unfoldable. And it's weird to me because I was just teasing a show for having a flip phone. A TV show had a flip phone, and now
it's like a burner phone, basically. So
and now we're back to flip phones, except they have the screen like a tablet, but they're it's just it's awesome to see that going back and forth. We just need the little, the pair of glasses. No worries. Let's see. So moving on from there, because that's sort of, it's one of those discussions that we can all have it and engage in it. But I think even 10 years ago, if you'd asked me where we were now, I'd be off on a bunch of stuff. It's definitely a weird situation.
Like when you're trying to predict the weather, you can do a decent job like a couple days out.
Absolutely.
But when you start predicting, like, dude, a week from now, it's like, forget about it.
A week from now is forget about it. And what's even funnier about that is the makers themselves. Like I bring up, Microsoft's made multiple desire mistakes where they mistake the desire for something. The Kinect was one. The Kinect was one of the hottest selling peripherals of all time. So in their brain, they were like, let's throw a Kinect into every system, and it was a complete disaster. And Sony saying we're not, streaming's not really gaming, that kind of stuff. And then they're like, oh, okay, apparently it is. Subscriptions aren't as important to them, and now it's become a thing. They have to change with the times. So the first thing I want to read, this is Burnsy. He's got a super chat for us from Discord. I work away during the week. PCs and consoles are too bulky and fragile. What can you suggest that will enable me to play modern new releases when I'm away? I'm not always having a Wi-Fi connection. So I can suggest, if you're not having a Wi-Fi connection, your best bet is one of the more powerful handhelds. Like that is where we are right now. And then, of course, the Switch for a huge back library of classic games. But if you don't have a Wi-Fi connection, there's not much else. I mean, you can't get.
Yeah.
You can't currently get an Xbox in a handheld form factor.
If that works for you.
Yeah, it's that he says a console's too fragile to carry around, and I feel that that's even more fragile. A laptop with a screen is considered more fragile. I could be wrong, but because it can close. But you're right. Laptops, I should definitely have pointed out. But when you don't have Wi-Fi, you just do have to look at the power of the system, and then you're looking at Steam, Legion, and between them are 8,000 knockoffs and clones, and you just have to sort of figure out from that point how you want to do it. It's a good question, Burnsy. And again, thank you for joining the Discord. I saw you have jumped in a couple months ago, maybe a month or two ago. Burnsy is a champion martial artist. He's won belts and everything.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, he showed a picture in our Sharing Your Life Discord. And he's got a picture of him standing there with his champion belts from kickboxing. Very cool. I appreciate you jumping in with Super Chat. Here's another one we'll hit real quick, and then we'll go on to the next subject. So that was Burnsy asking about how to play with no Wi-Fi or little Wi-Fi. Next one up is... Let me put this in here. It is from... Whoops, got to scroll up. Went away. There we go. JP McDon 44, $10 super chat. Again, thank you for those. I have more hours in Rise of Ronin than I care to admit. Nothing new's grabbing me. Never played Mad Max. How dated will it feel when compared to current gen open world? It will not. There's been a lot of open. You didn't say great open worlds, because Mad Max is more about its theme and its
always
driving.
find the loophole.
I do. I have to find a loophole in this one because it will not feel dated. I'm playing it currently. Matter of fact, I should have said that on the. I'm playing on the Legion as well as my PC.
The Arkham games, like the last one.
In the combat, for sure, yeah. And then a little like the tank in your car, even though
the driving is weighty. The driving is weighty.
Oh yeah, the driving in Mad Max is primo, man. Yeah, smashing into other people, and the combat in the car is great. Unique characters, more than I ever expected when it came to
I feel like it would have done
enjoyable.
better now with all the survival crafting stuff. I feel like it actually legitimately would have done better now than before.
I mean,
obviously there was back then, but now I feel like there's a much higher need for that or want.
And didn't Mad Max come out right with Max Payne, with Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain?
For Metal Gear, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a Horizon Zero Dawn moment for those guys where you release and you're like,
nothing's as bad as Horizon. They've done that like 4 times.
It has been a lot of times.
Ports. Oh my god. Every single time, man.
There was one thing there with Mad Max 2 with the cars where you could like get a car of a faction and then they wouldn't
go
for you, right? Yeah. I thought that was really clever. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but not a ton of games do it. And I remember playing Far Cry 5 and thinking, why the hell am I getting focused like this? I'm driving one of their cars in their territory, and these guys see me like I have a microchip on me or something.
Dude, it's like you got pinged, like a GPS when you get in a car in Far Cry. It is everywhere all at once. Helicopters, airplanes, people on the ground, trucks driving towards you. Yeah, with Mad Max, the other cool thing is the world building. They did a good job like Fallout. So, for example, in both of those games, you'll see toilets where they've used like the same rubber tires that are on the cars, the same tread and everything. And that might sound really stupid to think about, but I've seen it where it doesn't occur, where they don't use the same. And you're like, well, why is this one tire? Is this called the shitter tire and only shitters use it? Why is it not the same mudder tire that we see in other? And you'll see this world building where the same parts are used. And of course, Fallout is really good for that. But you feel like everything's connected in Mad Max.
One of my favorite things about post-apocalyptic games is that sense of I'm just putting what I find together to I'm gonna adapt to what I find rather than just get everything and then choose. You know what I mean? So you have to, like, if you find this, you gotta play around it. And that's one of my favorite things, especially if they have like a harder difficulty for that stuff where it's like things are more scarce. You're gonna find a tire here, you know, and everything's like I'm using a Mosin in Fallout 3 or Fallout Tale to Wastelands, and it's attached. Like the sight of it is just like 2 strings and a metal cylinder. You know, I love that type of stuff. Just jank.
Yeah, in Fallout, when you put a gun together of parts that you see in the world, it makes you feel like it's seamless. The thing about Mad Max that was probably one of the best moments of enjoyment in that game was you start out and you're sort of you really have to watch yourself and you have to do the disguises. Then you start upgrading your car, you get better at combat, and I've told these guys before, but I remember realizing how good of a power trip it was when I found myself on a hill like a predator, waiting for cars to be fucking with other cars. So if 2 cars drove by and they were fine and they weren't fighting, I was fine. But if I saw like 1 car go by and it looked like the Outriders or it looked like one of the groups was trying to attack them, I would just be like, whoa, whoa, and just chase them down and destroy them. Then go back up on the hill and wait. And it was like Batman's moments where he hangs from the, he's hanging, waiting for people. That's what I felt in Mad Max. And I just haven't felt that in a lot of open world games. I was all, the hunter has truly 100% become the hunted. And you're using a car that looks like it's pieced together from every single bit of the world. Even if you're using the enemy's cars, you can do that. And man, I love that feel.
One of my favorite, that does hit that, I don't know how you call it, like your vehicle. It's usually a vehicle where you maintain it and upgrade it, and it's the main thing you use. Things like what was that game that just came out, the kind of roguelike post-apocalyptic.
Pacific
you go
Drive.
in the car, Pacific Drive, and
Yeah.
even Days Gone. My favorite thing about that was just upgrading your motorcycle,
Your
and
motorbike.
feel it in the gameplay, because it's like the main thing you use for traversal. It's just, that shit is really cool, man. You feel the growth. It's not like a +5 attack, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no. Not only that, but you can change it depending on how you drive in Mad Max, how you drive in Pacific. You can do an upgrade that plays towards your strengths, and the car feels like it's changed based on those. Meaning you can get some negatives too, but you sort of decide what exactly you want. Yeah, there's not as many pluses, +5. And when you see other games that do skills +5% or whatever, there is usually no graphical adjustment. It's like just +5%. And in this game, if there is a small adjustment, you still get a new muffler put on or what have you. So there's this cool feeling.
I don't mind the stat game, but Armored Core also hit it really well. Like, you can have a stat game, but to actually feel it in the game as you change stuff, that's like the point. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's like the thing they would hit. Yeah.
You got to sell it a little bit, man. You got to sell it a little bit. And when you get these giant skill trees that are like by the time you're done, you're at +855. But your character can still look the same, and you're all, I don't know if that's exactly how I want it represented in a game. But yeah, so I think you'll be fine with Mad Max. Thanks for asking. I appreciate it. Let's see. I liked Rage 2, but encountered a bug that prevented me from progressing the story, so I gave up. Oh, that's too bad.
Man, Rage 2 had so much potential, I thought. I think the actual gameplay was fantastic. The gunplay was really, really fun.
Gunplay was good.
It was mired down by the open world bullshit again. You know what I mean? That's how I felt. It was like, oh, I have to do these points. But the gameplay itself was just really one of the best shotguns ever made in a game. Let me just say that. You splatter enemies into the wall, it's just felt
and you
good.
get like a double dash, if I remember right, in Rage 2.
I was going to mention the double dash.
Yeah, that thing
glorious.
That was glorious. And does it make sense? No, of course not. It doesn't make sense. The thing about the driving that sucks is this was made by the Mad Max guys. And it doesn't really hit as well. Like you have convoys you take out, and you're just like, I just don't think that's really for me. It didn't work. But then the shooting was like, oh man, this part.
I wish it was just like a Doom game,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even if you were out there on a fucking pedal bike, it'd be better. Whatever. The world I was okay with, but the shooting was like phenomenal. I mean, it really felt good in that. Let's see. Bone says the Magnum Opus rocks. Yeah, it was a cool little name for the car. I don't know why I don't remember how that name even comes about for why it's called that. Maybe it's just him saying it's his Magnum Opus, but go ahead.
What was the name, speaking of name, what was the name of your companion in Mad Max?
Oh, the little...
I was just going to say it.
Wait...
I almost said it when we were last talking, and now
I know it. I won't say it. I know it. Should I say it?
Don't say it. Let me look. Let me think. Okay, so we'll give ourselves 20 seconds.
Kumbaka? No.
Cum bucket. No, chum bucket. Not cum bucket. Sorry.
Yes.
That was not on purpose at all, by the way.
It's cum bucket.
It's chum bucket. Man, that was chum bucket. That's harsh. That was absolutely on on accident, man.
Oh my god.
I really did think man, if they put that name in a game.
Carrick name mistake.
That's a real mistake too. That was not me poking fun at some developer's name.
Because you always make mistakes like that, so it's wow.
Yeah, amazing.
Oh, that was good, man.
That's that one was not on purpose, people. I apologize. I like to poke fun with fake names. That one, not so much. Rick Gaffney says, now that the first 4 months of this year are over compared to the first 4 months of last year, what period was better? Man, that's going back a full year. I don't know. That's hard to know. The first 4 months of this, compare it to last year's. I think last year's was pretty phenomenal, right? I feel like last year's was, it's a little...
Last year's first 4 months were... What did we have the first? We had Resident Evil
Hogwarts.
Remake, we had Dead Space Remake, we had
Hogwarts.
Yeah, we had Hogwarts.
Yeah. Sorry, any year that's got Hogwarts is probably going to win that discussion.
Yeah, and we had Horizon, right?
But like
Forbidden
Infinite
West.
Wealth, Rebirth, and Dragon's Dogma also
2
amazing.
came out this year.
Yeah, that's a good...
Yeah, and for me, Stellar Blade. So yeah, this is definitely a strong year.
Yeah, I would say they're also sort of strong. If you were looking last year, they're more big blockbusters, I think. I think this year was more some really desired long-term game like Dragon's Dogma.
Yeah.
And Infinite Wealth nailed it beyond all belief. Like that to come so quickly after another one that I enjoyed from them. I've only not loved the Samurai one. The one that I reviewed that was the
gameplay.
It had the name after it. It was like
okay.
Yakuza something.
Ronin was okay.
Ishin. Yeah.
No, it's not Ronin.
Sorry.
It's Ishin.
Sorry.
Ishin.
Yeah. That one was just okay, but Infinite Wealth
I think last year was mostly like big sequels of games that haven't been made in like years, like a new Final Fantasy sequel.
Zelda, right? Zelda came out.
A new
around that time.
Yeah. So that's
why I was saying I thought last year would win because Hogwarts and Zelda alone are pretty huge.
Diablo,
I will say this though, I loved all those games and I had great times last year. I just have not had as much fun in the last couple years playing a game as much as Dragon's Dogma.
That was good.
Is it as good as a holistic game? No, it is not. Is it but the pure fun of Dragon's Dogma is unmatched for a long time. It has been a long time since I've had pure fun in a game like Dragon's Dogma 2.
Yeah, there were a bunch of games that came out, like things like Cyberpunk, where I wished it was more sandbox. And for the longest time, I felt like a lot of games coming out were way more, how do I say it? Like more structured, more quest based, more completion based. But Dragon's Dogma delivered something that I haven't seen in a long time, which was just like a kind of a sandbox game where you just go and just do things and just fight. You know what I mean? Emergent gameplay, which we haven't had in a while. So. Yeah.
Dragon's Dogma 2 had no co-op, but felt because of the pawns like a mini co-op, and hearing people go, what's your username? I want to use your pawn, blah, blah, blah. It was just a sharing moment that I think we were missing in Hogwarts. Like, it would be nice to have, been able to see other people's created the rooms that I can't remember the name of them, but you could make your own room in that game.
Yeah.
And I don't think there was a share function, if I remember right. There was just something about this one in particular that was just... It is just super
communal.
Communal about it. And so I would say this year has that, and then last year, Hogwarts, so
Strand type gameplay. We need more.
Alapish says, Carrick, you were waiting for D2 forever. We know. Yes. I think 13 years. Exact amount of time I waited, and I finally got it. And did it hit every mark? It did not. I think its story might even be worse somehow.
I don't give a shit about the story. Like, I don't play it for the story though. Is that like a valid thing to say? Would you?
I would. If the story was good, it would be another tier that I would enjoy, and I would always love to have all the tiers be filled.
That's actually true. Yeah. It would be better for sure. Yeah.
But I do get you that it's something that I don't think about the story because it is bland and bad.
It is bad.
I would love to think about the story because it is not bland and bad. Like, I would love to be like, hey, and what about the story?
Like, I like the whole idea of creating your own story through the journey and tribulations and stuff you do. But having more quality with the side stuff you do and the people you meet is very important for that to really work, I feel like.
Yeah.
For you to actually have I met this person and this happened and then that happened, tied in with the emergent gameplay, like meeting those characters and things happening to them. Like, I don't give a fuck if anybody died. I don't really give a fuck about any NPC. So that would have been way better. Yeah. Even if it didn't have like a perfect main story.
Exactly. Yeah. Even if I just cared a little bit more, it'd be nice. So the next thing we want to talk about, this is highly interesting. Helldivers 2. All right. So Helldivers 2 comes out of the woodwork. It does a really good job. It hit pretty well. It had some problems overall, but I think once it got up and running, it was the only way it was going to have issues was by the company themselves. That's the way I feel. It was moving forward. It had already got its community, and its community is very diehard, and the diehard community rewards the game, and the DM rewards the diehard community, and it's a really cool. But unfortunately, they have stated now that they're going to make it so that Steam owners are going to require PSN accounts, and they stated some reasoning behind this being security, some other stuff that had to do with it. Doesn't matter if it doesn't matter if it's real or not. The reaction was 14,000 negative reviews.
Yeah, so I want to understand. So I've seen a couple things, like some people saying, some countries don't even have PSN, so it's against the OS if you create a PSN account not in your country.
Gotcha.
And I've
Smart.
seen,
Real.
yeah, I've seen some stuff about like they don't want to be subjected to Sony's TOS and stuff. But I want to hear from people, like what are your, like what are people's actual, why are they so opposed to this thing of just making an account, a Sony account for it? Is it terrible, or are there issues, like personal issues with people when it comes to that, or do they just not want to be tied down to another, create another Epic account, create blah blah blah, link all this, what is people's actual frustration stemming from?
Also, I think when you look at it, a lot of people consider it, Sony wants to be able to say this many people have PSN accounts as an overarching, this is our metric for, let's say, 2024. We now have 400,000 new PSN accounts, which is something Microsoft's done. It's something, it doesn't mean it's a paid account. It means it's just an account. And so people are wondering about that. They were pretty clear. There were security issues, and I'm not going to go back and click up there, but they did a sort of, here's what's happening. But again, like I said, it really doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter what Absy's asking about. What I'm saying the ultimate result is, despite real or not real, was 14,000 negative reviews in 1.5 days. And
people don't like that idea at all.
They don't like the idea. I guess that's what you can come out of it, is it doesn't, and it's something that was required after you purchase the game. I do feel that is pretty much a sticking point to me, is that you're doing it after people who have the game, and the TOS thing that you were talking about, which you're absolutely right. There are some places that don't have Xbox or PlayStation, some small nations that don't have certain, the ability to have these certain companies do their stuff in those nations. I don't know what they're going to do, but that is that's not even review bombing. That's review nuking. I mean, that's 14,000 is, I don't know if it'll affect people, because I think people have
for
it.
Them, probably, right? Like, I think people have real issues with this and not just jumping.
I don't know if 14,000 do, but I certainly think that people have valid, like you said, there are tons of valid. And honestly, there's a distrust with Sony's online, because they've been hacked at least once. They lied. They did flat out lie, by the way. Like, I know that people love that company, but they did flat out lie about the hack and didn't tell people. That kind of stuff got out. So I think there's this nervousness about the internet, even. One more thing requiring data in the internet. Right. Yeah. And how many times are you guys waking up where I'm posting in our Discord about bleeping computers saying this Pacific hospital got hacked, and your medical records are out, or just unconnected things to you, stuff you can't control. So I mean, I get it, man.
Because for me, like, I was always like, the reason I'm asking is because personally, and that's just me, I never thought twice about like linking accounts and TOS and all that shit. I've gotten hacked a few times in the past, but usually, like, I'm all like, okay, whatever, I'll link this and link that. So I personally don't have this this crazy thing against it, but I love to hear like people's actual personal takes or like personal issues with it. And
versus just a rumor or something, but like why a real person has a real issue, because that is hard to parse. It's like somebody will say, it's because of this, and it's like, okay, but I want the real. It'd be nice to hear from the real people where they can say this is why. But I do think that asking for it later is a big ask.
I don't know. Did they have like a thing where it said, you will require PSN account in the future?
They did start doing some stuff with that. I don't know if they were warning people that in the future it'd be required, but I do know that Silver was saying that there were some hints or something where
because I had to link my account from the start, I think, if I remember correctly. Or is
that because of where you are? Not? You think?
I don't know. I linked my account. It was an option. It wasn't mandatory, I don't think. But I did that with the Returnal, and I did that with Helldivers, I'm pretty sure, where I just linked my accounts. But I guess now it's a requirement, right?
Yeah, and when it's a requirement, when you already own it, that's the big thing. Like, dude, if you're moving consoles or something, and they say, hey, you're moving consoles, we're by the way, this is the same tangentially. That's going to happen with people who have a vested online GTA account and are going to 6, where the requirement is the move. That makes sense to me. That requirement, okay, yeah, you're moving to a new system, maybe you'll do new things. This is like, you've already got the game, but we're we're now
you need
requiring this extra step.
play.
And
Yeah, it sucks. Yeah. Plus, the whole Sony, getting data breaches before, while Steam maybe got less data breaches than Sony, and having your Steam account linked to that, and it might be in more danger. Yeah, that's a valid.
I think the big thing for me is just that these hacks are happening so often to small and large companies that the moment it pops up, it's one more place to put your data. They're like, But again, if this had been day one and they required it, it would have been one thing. I think
Different
they probably
story.
warned people, but that's different. We always see those warnings, and then the companies don't push it out, and you're like, okay, I guess I got away with it. This time, they didn't, and they're getting hammered. So I don't know, man.
It reminds me of that situation with Meta, I think, where they required the Facebook account to play.
Yeah.
Or was it Oculus?
Yeah, well, it was VR. Yeah,
their
VR
tied to your real name. Most people
it's tied to your real name. They got a lot of shit for that, admittedly.
Yeah,
and I know
Facebook
people.
Live.
Yeah, I know people that didn't buy their hardware explicitly because they needed to create a Facebook account.
Yeah.
So
I would say I for sure know at least one person in real life who definitely did not want anything to do with Facebook in any way. But it wasn't even
Not that
one thing from
Sony is the
Facebook.
same,
it was years. No. But you're talking about it's a requirement. It doesn't matter. You're right. You're absolutely right.
I agree with Absi. I think from a practical standpoint, if you're using password managers and all the jazz to not have the same password everywhere, your risk is pretty mitigated. I don't really mind creating an account, linking it, or, I already have an account. I'll just link it. I do find it annoying when I boot up a game and I need to do 3 things in my browser before I can play it. I see this in Telltale games where they're like, link this with your whatever account, and I don't want to. Luckily, they don't make it mandatory, but those are just kind of annoying things when you just want to go in and play a game and you now have to, pull up my PSN 2-factor, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, if it pops up multiple times. One of the things that happens with Xbox, I don't know if you guys have ever noticed this, but some parts of Xbox Live will be running and others won't. So if you go to their webpage, it'll be like the sign-in's down, but the multiplayer works if you're in, or this is down. They have I can't remember how many, but they have a couple different things that can go down, and it won't affect everything. Everybody's worried that it's one more thing that could possibly go down, which we saw with 2K Topspin or whatever it's called. That game's servers went down. It's an online single-player game, and it went down. Can't play the single-player game. Now, luckily, Helldivers, or unluckily, whatever, is multiplayer only, so that can happen anyway. But I think it's just one more thing to sign into. I personally don't see it as an issue for me because I returned Helldivers. So if I was going to get it, I would now know this is coming up. But again, current users, I do understand that they're like, oh, God, another account I have to sign into. I get it. Yeah. I understand the worry. I don't know if I understand 14,000 negative reviews, but that's...
Review nuke? That's a new term?
Yeah, review nuke is sort of the new thing. I think 14,000 also shows the strength of their community, though. And I don't mean strength like they're strong, they're brave. I mean, they think... they've returned the investment. The company has. There's a meeting. So I feel like there hasn't been a lot of disparity between what the expectations were and what those guys have delivered. Even though I'm not in love with the game, there's been this really cool symmetry for a while with that game. But it only takes one break before, on either side. Blow it up.
It's just funny because, I'm gonna whataboutism, and people, Tarkov players have it worst, worse than any of this bullshit, all right? You guys have it easy. Whataboutism, baby. We are the starving children of the gaming world.
But I just don't know if Tarkov required something afterwards that required a whole new account. That's not the same thing.
They lied to people, and they definitely changed things afterwards, for sure.
Or they lied, not we. I don't work for them, But here's the thing: it doesn't.
I was kidding about the whataboutism. Obviously, I was just making a joke, but
it depends on, and it's also a big game currently being played right now. The other thing I saw concerning big game or games that are having issues, and it just affects me because I like it, is Splitgate. They said on their Twitter this morning, they said, let's say goodbye to Splitgate. And I was like, damn, because that
was a good one.
I thought Splitgate was really enjoyable. Yeah. Splitgate was a fun jump in, jump out kind of title. It was really enjoyable. So that's the current Helldivers 2 thing. Whether you like it or dislike it or agree or disagree, that's currently where they are. And I want to point out a little bit more news. That's that Helldivers 2 sales have been more on PC than on console, which I thought was surprising, actually. Very surprising. I don't know why I thought it was surprising. I just didn't expect it to be more on PC, but there you go.
I didn't expect everyone to be super opinionated on this thought. Like, everyone's already locked into their shit. You know what I mean? People are fighting battles on this. Some
PC owners fight battles on Epic versus Steam, and that's nothing.
Yeah.
So, we've seen that in our own Discord where people start talking about about Steam versus Epic, and that's a disaster to even start discussing. Just like, here we go. And here we go to the next bit, which is the Steam hardware and software survey. This is for April 2024. You might be saying, why are these guys covering this? I like to cover it because I think it shows where gaming and developers might go in the next 2 years. If they see hardware going up, they see people looking at new video cards, then there's a chance they'll hit that. You can see where VR is going. Do you guys need this link? You two? Or can you get the link to the Steam serverware? Okay. So, you need it, or you'll... Okay. All right.
No,
so what we got is Steam hardware and software survey. We'll try to make this as enjoyable as possible by freaking out about the weird things we didn't expect. I don't know if you guys saw this. Windows 10 has actually elevated in users versus Windows 11, which I think is hilarious. This is also backed up by a news report yesterday that some people were looking at some of the numbers, and Windows 11 has gone down a share. Windows 10 has gone up. This is probably because all the patches and weird shit that's going on with 11, but I found that interesting. It's still gone down on Steam, but it's gone up worldwide. System RAM right now is 16 gigs is your average. 48% of people have 16 gigs. So that is a good, I think that's a good number, man. I don't know about you guys. I feel like 16 for not the majority of games, but games you want to play and you're okay with turning down your textures or something like that occasionally, or making sure Windows isn't running 7,000 things in Chrome. 16 gigabytes is the right number for me. I would love everybody to have 32 or 64. What do you guys have in your PCs? What's the RAM
64.
you guys? 64. What do you got, Johnny?
I think it's 32.
32 currently? Okay. Physical CPUs dropped a little bit. It's still 6 CPUs. 33% is the leading, but it looks like that's going up. So it doesn't say if it's multi-threaded. Anybody who has like just a 6 CPUs. Currently, the GeForce leads, which is the RTX 3060, but it's gone down a little bit. It's gone down 1%. I think a 3060 is I think that's a pretty good, powerful card, right in the middle ground. You're not going to be running everything at 4K 60 on a 4090 even.
It's cool to see an RTX card have the most of the market share, though.
Yeah, AMD doesn't grab.
No.
It just doesn't seem to grab. What were you going to say, Johnny?
Well, it's surprising that Intel has like half the amount of AMD. So AMD is 15% of users, and Intel is 7.5. That's actually fairly high. I would imagine AMD would have much more presence than Intel, since they only recently got into the GPU stuff.
Well, I think, GPU. CPU, I expect it because their CPUs are wicked good.
I should have clarified. I was looking at GPU.
Yeah. Well, Intel's just got those little new graphics cards. Remember, they just entered the market again. I don't expect them to explode anytime soon, but they're making improvements on their graphics cards.
But that's a fairly high percentage already for them, right? 7.5 out of everything.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how many people have. I don't know where that fits in the scheme of a cheap NVIDIA card and a cheap AMD card, where Intel's making up their set, where Intel's getting that, who's buying those, but they are cheap. And so I know that they've made some improvements. I don't know much about their GPUs. I'm just going to flat out again say that I don't follow Intel's GPUs very much until they become pretty comparable to something on the AMD.
Very early.
Very early. Primary display resolution, guys. Still
So on
1080p.
that 1080, I thought 1440p would be way higher than it is though. 1440p
It's still king.
is pretty
1080p
low.
is still king.
Yeah. What's
Mhm.
1440p at?
It's at
Did-
18%. It's the second highest one.
Is it? So it's
Yeah.
what? It's 1080p. I see 1080p because I'm looking at the summary. So 1080p
Yeah.
is highest, and then what? 1440, and then 4K.
1440, and then the others are like around 1 and 2%. Like the next, I mean, 1440 is at 18%. The next one at 3.81% is
4K.
3840 by 2160. So yeah, 4K.
And then I'm
And
sure
then
we've
you
got
got-
some ultra wides in there, taking
Yeah,
up
Oh,
a
yeah.
couple percent, right?
And then there's other that is just 2.51%, just other.
Yeah, the
I
drop off
know
is
that.
crazy, right? You go from 58% 1080p, 4K is already at like 3.8.
Does that
Yeah, I
take into
think-
account DLSS or no? Probably not.
No,
right?
no, no.
That's
This is
your-
just
your
I
actual
think this. Yeah,
resolution.
yeah. This is
Yeah.
well. It may. I don't know. I think 1080p is good resolution for a lot of things. I do notice it
Yeah.
on my screen a big difference in drop in resolution between that and 4K. But 1440p is a good middle market. And now we have these ultra wides and all that shit that are separate,
Yeah.
that are pulling numbers away from the others. The other one is multi-monitor desktop resolution is 4K. And that's at 58%, which surprised me. Language, of course, English. I would assume that's just, well, like we said, some places probably don't even have
What's the
Steam.
second highest? Simplified
language-wise?
Chinese. Oh, of course.
Let me.
of
Is it
course.
Chinese?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
And then
Now-
Russian.
Listen to this: 22%, and it's raised. Free hard drive space, 1 gigabyte or 100 gigabytes to 249.
Yeah.
100 gigabytes. If I saw one of my drives only have 100 gigabytes of hard drive left,
Yeah,
I would be
yeah.
in a panic.
Panic mode. Yeah.
Like that would be
Exactly.
like, oh crap! Especially the
Yeah.
way they run, even with over provisioning. Like you don't want to fill one of those too heavy.
Yeah.
And then
it
VR
makes sense,
headsets
250 to 499 GB is the next highest.
is the next
at
highest.
21.5%. So it's very, very close to 100 to 250.
Yeah. They're interesting. I think sort of tent poles to understand where developers, might aim their next game. They look at the Steam server and go, okay, maybe we don't need to worry about this. Or 16 seems to be where the sweet spot is. It's no longer 8, which is great.
Yeah.
I haven't been at 8 gigabytes on a fucking PC and maybe ever. I might have just went from whatever it was to 16 right away. I mean, 8.
The first PC I built
Damn.
was the olden times I didn't build like back in the 90s and shit.
Right.
But like the 2015 when I built a PC, it was 16 gigabyte RAM.
Yeah, I feel like 16 was always what I don't even remember an 8 that I've
I
ever
had
had.
8 for sure, man. I
Did you have
definitely
8?
did. Yeah.
Dude, with current browsers and stuff, you start opening things with 8.
I
and-
know. I was struggling, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Even
a
to-
situation.
To open like the music software that
Oh,
takes
yeah.
quite
Yeah.
a bit, it would suffer. By the way, one thing here, right? It's talking about hard drive space. They don't really talk about SSD versus hard drive. That's something I was interested in because we're seeing more
Yeah.
games require SSD. We'll talk later about not Helldivers, Hellblade 2.
And their requirements,
Their requirements include SSD, so I was curious to see if they would have numbers for.
Yeah.
They
SSD.
do have VR headsets, Oculus Quest 2, of course. Yeah, HTC Vive is higher than I thought it'd be at 4.48%. I never expect. I don't know why. I'm sure it was high when Reg and I went through these numbers last year. I think he was on, and he likes to read these as well. But the Quest 3 is rising, but Quest 2 is still doing well for itself, man. 38% of people own it, and it's plus almost 0.20% going up. That's
Oh, you
I
got
don't know,
the
man.
Sony PlayStation VR in there too.
Do they have it in there?
0.06%. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
0.06%. Yeah. The Pico Neo 2 is at 0.02.
That the Pico 4 is awesome. Reading some of what people have in our chat: 16, 32, 32, 32, 16, 32, 16, 32, 64. Frankie rocking the 64 so he can play No Rest for the Wicked. I'm just joking. That thing was using some RAM on my system. A lot of people saying they're ultra wide. Or no, I guess not a lot. Now I'm seeing 1440p. So I guess some people are ultra wide. 1440p is a nice middle ground, man. Like a nice,
I like it.
solid middle ground for people. Yeah. I'll occasionally, if I'm having an issue with a game, put it at 1440p to see, how it suffers for a drop, and usually 1440p is negligible. You'll see, you can see it if you're looking, but...
Do you think it's better to go down a full res or go from quality to balanced on DLSS? Which looks better?
Currently, now, as good as DLSS is, I would probably say I would try the DLSS before I tried the drop, because it depends, because some of these games will release now have FSR2 still or something, and you're like, why haven't they just put whatever improvement is there? But I've been pretty happy with DLSS's quality and balanced. Once you get down to performance or ultra performance, that shit looks weird. Have you ever done it on ultra performance? You're like, it doesn't even look. It looks like it's guessing. It's just I think some pixels are over here.
Some here, some here.
It's
having a crack, man. It's
I would definitely. It just depends on the version. I'm very happy with where they are now. I mean, I'm going to be even happier when they continue to improve it. But what do you guys do? Do you guys drop it, or do you run DLSS or FSR? Do you drop it first if you need?
I never dropped it. No, 1440p with a 4090. I barely.
Yeah, you wouldn't notice unless it's unoptimized, right? You're not going to notice an issue there.
Even if it's unoptimized, it's usually not bottlenecked by the GPU, so if I go down res, nothing happens.
Yeah. The only thing you can do, I mean, and that's where the discussion about CPUs and GPUs come into it, and RAM and all that stuff. It's all one holistic system, but a lot of people, I think, just instantly assume that a higher GPU, you can get bottlenecked. Let's be honest, you're not getting bottlenecked under 60. Most of the time, you're bottlenecked like 120 versus 140, as long as you have somewhat of a new CPU. But once you start getting back into the old days, you'll definitely notice a 4090 is not going to help you.
140.
Oh, only. Dude, and I bet you that looks stuttery as hell, 140, right? That's almost unacceptable for you to play at 140.
I can't, man. I need it to be 240 or like literally my eyes can't see under 240, so.
Maru did say, unless it's unoptimized, 90% PC games in 2023 or 23-24. I wouldn't say 90 for what I've played, but I certainly do agree with that comment. It is pretty nuts. Speaking of hardware and requirements, that's the Steam survey. Some great stuff you guys should go check. Again, it's a good indicator because that's some of the only numbers some devs have. It's a great indicator, actually, of where they may go for the next, you might see them hitting for the next couple years. Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2, they released their requirements with missing one pretty integral part. And do you guys know what I'm going to say?
Frame rate?
Yeah. So my assumption is it's 30. That's my assumption because they don't put
they said if
the
you
target
want more frames
at the bottom.
DLSS and shit.
Yeah, there's DL, which I think indicates what they're showing here is 30. So graphics low will require an AMD Ryzen 5 2600 and a NVIDIA GTX 1070 or an AMD RX 5070. Yeah.
That's 30.
Or 570. And then Intel Arc A580 would be for minimum. Medium jumps that up to a 2070 and an Intel 960 or a Ryzen 5 3600X. And that's for medium 1080p. Medium graphics settings at 1080p. Again, I think this is 30 FPS. I think we can all agree it's not on there. That's why and what they say at the bottom. And then recommended would be high at 1440p. So they're actually aiming at 1440. And they say at that point, you need an i7 1070.
I have a question.
And a 3080.
Legitimately, why do games not release benchmarks? Like just give you benchmarks? Is that hard to make? Does it take resources?
You mean in-game benchmarks?
Just the benchmarks before the game is even out, so you can see how your PC runs it before you purchase.
Well, some do.
Because everyone.
Some have. Some do. But probably because somebody. I mean, I don't know. I don't know exactly, but I would assume it's just one more thing you would have somebody do, and instead they just. And there's a lot of variability because. I'm going to point out something. You were talking about benchmarks, and it reminded me. Every single Assassin's Creed game I've ever ran, their benchmark runs like shit, and the game is perfect. And I do not know what's going on. But their benchmark is dog shit. There was a benchmark for, was it Avatar? Or it might have been Far Cry 6. But whichever one. And I was running it, and it stutters and weird shit. And I was like, oh, man, this is rough. And even in the review code, in the embargo, it stated that the benchmark wasn't ready. So that wasn't ready. So I don't know what that really meant, but the game ran way better than the benchmarks were running in game.
You see that sometimes where the benchmark doesn't
doesn't
represent. And I was going to say too, well, there are two elements. One is trustworthiness. For me, I prefer to see benchmarks from a third party verifying the game.
Makes sense. I see what you're saying.
Instead of from, because they are obviously, it's their product. So I prefer to see it from a third party. And then there's also the fact that it's a skill set in and of itself.
It really is.
And a whole methodology to be good at benchmarking games. I mean, we see Gamers Nexus, they have like super intricate, complicated ways of doing it, and other channels too. They do a good job, right? So I think that's a skill set that's also very specific.
And let's point out why we know it's a skill set, because every time a game is released where 2 or 3 tech YouTubers and tech channels handle it, they all have different results in their friggin' benchmarks. And I don't know,
there you go. Yeah.
Dude, there have been times where I've been like looking at, let's say, Digital Foundry or something, and I'll watch their benchmark on something, and then I'll look at somebody else's, and theirs are off by, a good number of FPS, and it could be the console. I know with Digital Foundry, they had to write their own console capture code, because what other people use, which is the line that you see in the number, that thing doesn't capture the frame rate from a console as well, especially because it's not lossless, and different, not cheats, I almost said cheats, different things they use to smooth out frame rate might not count as a frame, or does count as a frame when it shouldn't, versus, let's say, a specific software written to capture console code in particular. But yeah, they're never identical. They're close sometimes, really close, but then there's those times where you see like this one group saying blah blah blah, here's what you get, and then you see another group 5-10 FPS off on their highs, and you're like, also it depends on how much you play, because I know I was talking to, it was either John, it might have been a different tech YouTuber, but I was talking to him, I was like, how far did you play? And they were benchmarking it. They hadn't beat it, but there was a level like 3/4 of the way through that was really framey, and that wasn't included in the benchmark. And it's like, that was a problem, because once you get to that point, then you start seeing, frame rate dips and stuff. And then last but not least, very high. This is high 4K, again, assuming 30 FPS. This is an Intel i5 2060 or an AMD Ryzen 7 5700X. And they want a RTX 4080 or a 790 XTX. Do they call it 7900? I bet you I'm saying that wrong. I bet you they call it 7900. See, I don't even mess with AMD graphics cards much. And then that's the only one where the VRAM is required or suggested to be 12. So the rest are 6 for low, and then 8, and then 12 for high. So, and it's 70 gigabyte install. Not bad. I know people complain about that if it was super high, but 70. So there you go. What do you guys think? Do you look at those? Do those seem, for what you saw, about fair for 30 FPS? About what you would expect?
Yeah, probably.
Power wise? Yeah, what I've seen of Hellblade, that looks fair.
Yeah, I think 4K 30, you said a 4080.
4080. Mm-hmm.
That's definitely a very big card to only get 30. I wonder if it is the case that you need something higher to go for 60.
It's a very high graphic setting, so probably a lot of lighting and shadows and
true. Yeah, and they have a lot of
agree.
Processing and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I would say it's about what I expected. They all suggest Windows 10 or 11, 64-bit. So there you go.
I don't know about you guys. I personally like it when the game is like pushing the current hardware, and I prefer to not be able to play on the highest setting, but have that be an option if I do have the power.
A future-proofed ultra version, like an ultra setting?
Yeah, it could be future-proofing,
I'm fine with that.
It could be like only if you have the top of the line,
Some games do the big warning too, Johnny, where you'll try to hit ultra and it'll be like warning. I love that, because to me that's I'm a consumer. I see that and it pops up and you have to hit A to get by it, and it says warning. This is either for the future, or you have to have, the highest blah,
ultra,
blah, blah.
doesn't tell you that you're not supposed to run it in a way.
Yeah, right.
Or
right.
like it's not, you're not ready for this yet.
Yeah.
But you can try.
I don't think it'll be 30 FPS locked or anything on PCs or anything.
I think
it'll
for
be
a game like
unlocked.
that, 30 could be pretty good. I could see myself taking the trade-off if it has some banger effects, and I really want like the RTX and everything, because that game is not that much about the combat for me. It's more like the atmosphere, the immersion.
Were you guys able to run Alan Wake 2 right away at highest, or because I wasn't able to run it at maxed?
Not max. No, I had to compromise on some stuff to get close to like stable 60 at 4K, and not RTX.
Yeah.
I ran it at max, but it suffered a little bit in the forest. I think in the forest made me turn on frame gen. But outside of that, it was great.
I found it weird. Go ahead. You have what?
No, I just have a really good system. So it's not like it's. I would expect.
And you had frame gen, right, for that game?
Usually turned it on in the forest areas. I think I kept it on after like the first big forest area, and I was like,
dude, the forest area.
Yeah,
it was very heavy. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, for sure. No, because the input lag when you're playing on controller and stuff, it doesn't really bother me, and it wasn't much of a fast reaction type of game. So
yeah, it's definitely not a fast reaction game. Yeah, I do find it sort of interesting though that I personally had more issues not in the city, which looked amazing in that game. When you're town, I should cut. Not even close to a city. I should make sure.
Not a city. Yeah, like
not a city.
The cafe. And
the
like
cafe place. Yeah. When you like, I was noticing that. Yeah, the forest. I had some issues. There's a later part in the game when there's a lot of transitions, and I was and that. Well, okay, the city. So you have the town, and then you have the other,
like the New York looking.
Yeah, that place I did have a couple, but there was a lot going on in it. Yeah, there was. I remember there was a lot going on in that, and then the 13 gen was pretty fine with it, but it was at the point where the low system I test on was definitely like there's a lot of shit going on, buddy. There's like a lot of stuff. Andy says, "Sup, Carrick, Absy, and Johnny."
What's up, Addy?
Yo.
Let's see this. Not everyone takes reviews at face value. They do their own research and make decisions themselves if they want to buy it. Not everyone, though. Yeah, and take multiple reviews into account. Trust me. If it's a 60-hour game, there's a chance everyone, including myself, we all miss something. There's a lot in a game that you're trying to get out in 15 minutes, or you can do 30 or something, but that's a long time for a review. Fitness says BG3 Act 3 was so bad during launch that Digital Foundry even did a follow-up. Yeah, I am. Just so you know, that I didn't see somebody had said that. That is actually what I'm talking about.
It was very bad, yeah.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, and that's why I was questioning where everybody was in their review time, because I was like, this is definitely got some frame. Oh, no, it runs perfect. And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I definitely had issues, man.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what's going on there. Some other people are saying that they were surprised how good Manor Lords runs. I got to say this. This is not a diss on Manor Lords, man. I love Manor Lords. I like it a lot. It's missing some stuff. It's early access. But I didn't see Manor Lords doing a bunch that made me question why it couldn't run really well. I think it runs where I would hope games like that run.
I agree, because it's a UE5, right? As well?
Yeah, but I just mean what they're showing on screen. It's not like,
it seemed like pretty...
It's leaner.
Cookie
it's not
cutter, in-engine, like... It's cool what they do with it, but yeah, I would agree with you.
It's more important what they do with it, right?
Yeah.
In the end,
I thought it looked very pretty. I thought it looked very,
small
very
dick
pretty.
thing where you say like what matters is what you do with it, and not the.
Yep. Size only matters so much. I would agree, Absy. I thought it looked for what
like prettier than like Anno 1800. And
stuff. Yeah. Their art style I also don't like though. But yeah, I would agree. Once you start getting bigger cities, I will tell you guys, if you haven't played Bannerlord in a while, if you like throw a bunch of shit in, you get a lot of NPCs running around delivering stuff, then I'm not saying you'll get a frame rate, because your frame rate should already be pretty high on a PC, but you definitely watch that number sort of going down. And next up, Dev Guy has a super chat. This is an interesting one because I don't know how this is going to go over with everybody as a question, because some of us don't do these or don't, I wouldn't say believe in them, but don't do them. So here's his question. Dev Guy says, what is your favorite cheat or hack in a game?
Aimbot and Tarkov. No, I'm just kidding.
Aimbot and Tarkov, that'd be amazing. I like my aimbots.
I got one.
Go for it.
It's not technically a cheat, but in Red Dead Redemption 2, because I hate aiming with controller, what I abused was, I think the default mode is that when you press aim, it will like bump.
Pretty much a cheat.
Pretty much, yeah, it's pretty much a cheat, because so I would go into aim, it zooms into the character, I shoot them, and then when I go to the next person, I just go out and in,
and then
and it's automatically, and that was my way of bypassing the entire like aiming
the controller.
Yeah.
Especially on 30 FPS when it came out.
Dude,
I still, to this day, there's two cheats. In Vice City, GTA Vice City, there were, I still remember Seaways, where you can have it so that, remember there was no swimming in Vice City.
Right.
So you can have it so that when you're driving a car and you land on the water, the tires actually go like this. They go horizontal.
What the hell? I didn't know that.
You start surfing on the water. The cheat is Seaways, Seaways, and GTA Vice City. And then in Saints Row, there's one for jetpacks. You can get like a co-op buddy and not Saints Row, sorry, GTA. What did I say? San Andreas. You can get a co-op buddy if you date someone and you have high affinity with them. You go into a co-op game and then spawn jetpacks, and you just go around in jetpacks and shit. You know.
So it changed. You saw the graphics change on the car, even?
Yeah. When it went on the water, the tires literally would go horizontal.
Man, that's so cool, man.
And this was a cheat in the game.
This was a cheat in Vice City.
So they programmed in a graphics change as well. That's some hardcore shit. You normally never see something like that, like to change the default to something, because you have to bug test all that.
Yeah, that's what
it's not just like a number.
Thinking about it now, I'm like, whoa, actually,
that's next level. That's like that is honestly very cool. I don't think I've even. I mean, you can add a jetpack as a cheat. That's one thing, but changing the default structure of, let's say, the car and that's wow,
insane.
It was really.
I don't know what movie had that where the cars would the wheels
or Johnny English or some shit like that.
There was definitely something, man. I can't remember, but that was a thing for sure.
Back to the Future, the wheels turn.
They
horizontal,
did. Yeah, they did.
And then they're the thrusters. They're the like repulsor engines, as the term goes, for anything that lets you float. It's a repulsor engine. Speaking of repulsor engines, though, is that it for cheats? Before I move on to this, because I saw something pretty crazy yesterday.
Yeah, I think so.
For me, I will say that I tried out Cheat Engine for a little while to see if, like how it is you can get extra money in a game or get extra. It was too convoluted. It worked pretty well. It was too convoluted, though, to really do, long term. But I would say the only real cheats I've ever used would be something along the lines of a fighting game, back in the day when, like, there's a certain bad guy that was kicking my ass or whatever, and you just want to see the end or something. I'm being pretty generic because I can't remember which one it is, but I know I would have used something like that, especially if it wasn't a virtual fighter, but it was a game with a lot of bad guys, and there's just this one guy that you're getting smoked on arcade mode, and you need to get by him to unlock something, as long as the unlock still worked, because a lot of cheats will be like, hey, feel free, but you can't get anything if you use this cheat.
Shit, yeah.
Or turning off achievements when there's a mod. It's so funny to me because I don't care about achievements anyway, so it'll be like, you can't use achievements, so... And then I've seen that most games have patches that turn them back on because people are so, addicted. There's so much dopamine on that achievement popping.
I'm gonna send you the picture of the card to show you how like the tires.
I'll look at that.
I sent it to you on Discord.
They're saying everybody seems to think the San Andreas cheats were some of the best ones ever. I'm just looking in chat.
Good ones.
Big head mode in GoldenEye. I used big head mode. That I did. Yeah. I don't even know if that was a
NBA
cheat.
Jam?
Was it? NBA Jam was hilarious. Yeah, he's on fire, and it was Hillary Clinton with a giant head, and you're like, dude, what? That game,
the best, man.
That game.
Yeah, there are some classic ones like Age of Empires 2.
Oh,
you
yeah,
could
Age of
get
Empires 2, you can get
cars, Big
Camaros or
Daddy.
something. Yeah. Oh, you know the code? You know the
It
code
was
itself?
Big Daddy. Yeah, it was a Robin Hood for gold. No, greed is good for gold. Robin Hood for.
Oh, damn, they really do they really do adjust the model and everything for GTA.
Yeah, literally you could see it switching when you go into the water. It's really cool, man.
That's next level. Like I said, not next level.
Yeah.
I don't want to blow it too far out of proportion, but
Sure.
that's a pretty phenomenal
cool.
change.
Attention to detail.
If you're gonna put in cheats, that's like a cool way to
polish the cheats.
Yeah.
Didn't the anime series Pole Position in the 80s have the cars where the wheels did that? Pole Position? That's an F1 game. I don't remember that. Yeah, I think that's the
F1.
also
in Counter-Strike 1.6, it was a Half-Life mod, right? And you had access to the it's some game modes you would have access to the console if you're like the server host, and you can change things like gravity and stuff. So you'd put gravity at like 50% and just have like a different type of game where it's anti-gravity kind of fun action. Yeah.
When a cheat's really good, it spawns its own mode.
Yeah,
if a cheat's really good, it will. It's like I definitely remember with friends the big head mode being like a thing where it's like we're all playing in big head mode. This is what we're doing. Yeah, that kind of stuff was great. I want to say also, if you get a chance, I would love for you guys to subscribe to the channel. If you are not subscribed, also please at the end of the podcast, if you are here, please leave a comment on the podcast. You guys are really engaged in here, but I always forget that when the video goes live, it would be very helpful if you leave a comment, because we have a lot of people who watch it and they're just sitting back listening to it on Spotify or what have you, and they don't leave a comment, and comments help. If you want to become a Discord member, jump in. You can become one. If you're a YouTube member, it should merge you right away. You can leap in, talk about games with us. We have a very low drop rate, I can say. So I don't know if that just means they feel like they spent their money and they hate it, or they feel like they spent their money and they love it. They don't know how to leave. Dude, I'm going to make it hard for people to leave the Discord. No, I'm just joking. What were you going to say, John?
I was going to say, and if you don't have a comment, leave us your favorite emote. And we'll see what is the most popular emoji.
We know what the most popular emoji. It's going to be a cucumber or whatever the fuck that is. Zucchini. Eggplant. I knew I'd get there. Yeah. All right. So I do want to talk about this. And yeah, chat's going to hate me for it. Probably. Or somebody is. But I got to say it, man. I'm consistently impressed with what I'm seeing from Star Citizen. And yesterday they posted a 5 something. And, I've been playing it off and on, messing around. They showed like the motorbikes, the repulsor. This is why it reminded me of this discussion. They showed like the ones that float.
I need to see this.
And I got to tell you guys, if you ignore everything else, ignore it, just graphically from an artistic design point, they look phenomenal. Like it just looks fun to jump on one of those and fly around. So if anybody's interested in Star Citizen, even as the nightmarish, whatever we want to call it, the worry that it'll never come out. They've locked down the stuff and they're starting to deliver consistently on what they're doing. And as Absy was talking about, the new one is the server net, which I think comes out in the next patch. Which
they're adding the server
overlay
thing?
server. Yeah, I think they said next for that one, if I remember right, in last night's, because it was really late and I was in bed and I saw this and I hit it and started looking at it. I was like, Jesus. And I got to tell you guys, they have quests and shit already. They what?
Yeah. They need to. So I've been watching Summit 1G play Star Citizen. He's been playing it. And they do need to fix like server kind of desync issues where like a ship can collide with another ship, but then it'll do this like jank thing and then explode rather than actually explode on impact.
Yeah.
So you get these weird server stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm from the tech level and what they're doing there, and the fact that they've got FPS, they've actually got battles and stuff like that going on. It's always fun to watch it and go, that's a thing. Regardless if it's going to be a thing at the end that we all love, I do like that they're pushing some of the tech forward. And now, it's definitely not a scam. It's a weird situation, but it is interesting to me too when you look at the cost. And I used to think how much they've raised was such a huge amount, and now we're already starting to see games that are getting very close to eclipsing it already in just a 4-year time span versus the Kickstarter's 14 years. I feel like it's been 14. I don't know when that was first shown, but yeah.
I bought my ship in 2014, I think. 2013.
Damn, son.
Wow.
9 years? That is nuts.
That's when I bought my ship, but it was available before that for sure.
Yeah, I got one ship, and then I got a free one somehow. I don't remember, because they've run some deals and stuff. I got a free ship that was pretty sweet. But I will say that all space games are hard to get into, and that one as well.
Yeah.
You jump into X4 or X3 Reunion or No Man's Sky. I still firmly think space games are the most hard for me to get into, as in understand what their process is versus
especially
this
with
other
a game
game.
like Star Citizen or the other one where you have to do a lot of stuff manually, and there's a lot of systems interacting with each other, and there's no clear cut like you should do this and now do this.
Yeah, or they just put you in a giant city that looks amazing, and you're all, what do I need?
Where do I go?
How do I even put on clothes? But it's been fun to experiment with. Super chat from Gear IDR to 20,000. Sweet Liberty, no. Yes, we are talking about it. If that's what you're responding to, but it won't be for very long. I'm just excited for what we're seeing. It's IDR.
What the?
I don't know what that is. Indonesian DR.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
Yeah.
What is it? Can you look that up?
Indonesian rupiah.
Dude, yes. I've got my currencies down. Space games like Star Citizen need to go big or go home. Yeah, except, I agree. Actually, I just want to say that I've been pleasantly surprised by X4 and how many not patches, but how many big big improvements they've done to that game. That game has got some pretty nice expansions. Full war, the ability to run your own economy and stuff, just crazy shit. Like in that game, if you don't like one faction, you can just not trade with them and ruin their finances over time. Just weird stuff that's almost that 4X blown, almost that Stellaris kind of thing where you sit back and look at that. Also, so I was bringing up some different stories. Redfall, Hero Pass, DLC, still missing after a full year of release. So if anybody is aware of this, they were selling different versions, including the Backbite edition, which costs £99, which is about that's like 110.
Imagine paying for Redfall $100 for Redfall, dude. Oh my God.
This includes a Redfall Hero Pass that promises 2 future heroes. The content for this edition is also available separately for £29, which I think that's high 30s for the dollar. Bethesda has of yet to deliver the DLC following the game's release on March 1st, May of last year. This is from Eurogamer, just pointing this out. So the question is coming up with Redfall. Currently, they got a peak of about 60 players.
Nice, man. That's good.
Could I keep waiting for you to say like 1,000 after 60? Or
1,000.
And...
But it'd be nice to say that because I
nice. 10.
Yeah. So 65 on Steam. You still have your console, but I think we can all see that it would be 120, and it would still be, less than 300 people.
It's their relatives.
The question is do you guys feel that indicates that Bethesda behind the scenes is possibly not doing the DLC and looking at somehow getting out of this, maybe refunding the DLC cost to people? I mean, it's been a year ideal, and there hasn't been even one DLC. Well, that's the thing. I mean, dude, if you do get a character now, what's happening? Like, are you going back in to play it? Probably not for a deal. I mean, of course there's going to be some people who like it, but there's 65 people in there.
Yeah,
there's 65 people who like it. There we go. There's at least 65. Well, they might be devs, so maybe there's 45, maybe 20 or... But I'm just wondering, is that what you guys think? Is that possibly they'll just refund the DLC money back and say, hey, listen, this was an attempt, and or
just pump something out?
Well, it's been a year. Wouldn't you think they'd do something in a year? Like a year, man, for a DLC. Oh, by the way, this does shoot down the thought process that every game has its DLC prepped when the original goes live, which we all know is not true, but you always hear that rumor. Like DLC is always, they were working on it at the same time. This is fully done, blah, blah, blah. It's like if it was fully done, a character who's not going to change the entire world, just a character, would have been released by now.
Like, did they fix did they fix the AI and...
No. It's been patched, but fixed? No. It's still rough.
I think before even... I think with games like this, I don't even want to see anything purchasable before they have a solid game going, which would be ideal, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, no, that's fair. I can see that. I mean, it was up day one, which I think also just indicates don't pre-order extra stuff for your games.
Never pre-order. It's never a good idea. It's never a good idea. There's no point to it.
Yeah, just get the normal version, right? Because
I don't know.
Because I just don't find usually you can't get the other stuff. Is there a premium of $5 or $10? Maybe. But do you know what the opposite of that is? This, where you paid $30 and you've got nothing. So why not just buy the original and then wait? And if it's that good and the DLC characters are that good, then you buy them. But 2 characters for $30 also seemed high. I don't know why.
I legitimately want to boycott. High. Like I want people to boycott pre-orders so that companies would, will stop doing.
Well, they do stuff like the early access or like a bonus skin that will always work.
3 days early. 3 days early is the new version because, guys, we all know what that means. It's 3 days. It's been working for a week prior to that for reviewers. Let's say it's ready. So it's just like, hey, man. And I've heard all this. Oh, we're gonna test servers. Blah blah blah. No, sorry. You're not going to roll out a full server fix in 3 days anyway. So if you're having we saw this with the crew. Remember when they released that beta and they were like, "This is just a beta," and it's out in a week, and you're all.
That's so dumb, man. We don't know the beta, early access. Like, what does it all mean? What is alpha? It's all arbitrary.
It's all arbitrary now. Well, alpha might not be, but alpha's pretty early. But I agree with you. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I would say number one, don't order anything other if you're going to pre-order, which I don't suggest. I would just definitely add on to that. If they're talking about characters, don't order the extra stuff, man. Don't, you can do what you want. I'm just saying that would be my suggestion. It feels like this is not the only game.
I actually don't like when games have like pre-announced DLC and like season packs and shit because they don't know in advance how the game is going to do.
Right.
And for me, I prefer for them to be like, listen, the game didn't pan out how we wanted. We had a crack. Let's get on to the next project. Instead of being stuck in 5 years of content that they had, committed to, like post content for a game that didn't pan out. Like, plus, you can try to salvage it, but
Plus, like, not only that, but I feel like let's say you release a game and it's just, okay, here's the game, get it? It's like a full game. You play it, you finish it. It's like, okay, I want more. I don't want more. I feel like it changes in my psychology if someone goes like, oh, we have these 2 DLCs planned. It's like, oh, I'm always going to play a game that's kind of unfinished. There's something more. I don't like that feeling. I like to buy a game that's complete and then see, announcements for new stuff into it.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree too. And by the way, if anybody does pre-order, it's fine. I'm just saying in the future, we may look at the pre-orders, especially for items. And we've seen huge games we thought were going to work out. I'm not talking about Redfall, but there's been other games, many of them, where we were all under the impression it would work out, and it hasn't. And I think it's very important that maybe you don't spend the extra on extra stuff until you get it. Battle Pass, in particular, has always felt weird to me. Battle Pass.
I can tell you, in the past, it's I made the mistake of getting like the deluxe full, Battle Pass, whatever edition. And then I just didn't like the game as much to come back to play whatever new content comes out.
You just hit the fucking mark perfectly. The game could be good and it could be popular as shit and you could not like it. And you're now sitting on a pre-purchase of DLC and a Battle Pass that makes no sense for you. That is spent cash. Like that is a good point, and I should have brought it up. That's a really good point. Let's see. 2000 or Battlefield 2042 is a perfect example. See, people in chat, can you explain to me what Battlefield 2042 does, please, or what they did? Because there's been so many Battlefield and Call of Duty games, I can't remember which one did what. But I'm sure I get in my head what you guys are talking about. But if you can explain, I'm assuming what early.
But I love what Absi was saying. The feeling
beta.
of.
Sorry.
No, I was going to say, like, this thing you said about, like, you bought a full game. I love that feel. Like, Stellar Blade is that for me. You don't have microtransactions. You don't have, like, DLC.
Or like Elden Ring, you know what I mean? Where like you just get
like,
Elden Ring and now
there
the
may be a
DLC is announced.
DLC, right? But
Sure.
the fact is, you bought a game. It's a full ass game. You know,
Right.
you can have a great time with it. You don't have this feeling that you
You're
got
missing
gaps.
something.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, the hero I actually want to play as hasn't come out yet. Like Suicide Squad, the Joker will come out later, but I wanted to play as the Joker now.
Sure.
So, you know, you have that feeling like, yeah, it's not the full.
I wonder
the
if they
full
have
thing.
people studying that, like the psychology of announcing DLCs prior or after, you know.
I think there's a worry in all of our heads that a game won't last, and the idea that possibly they have confidence. I'm not saying this is
Sure.
a thing, but I'm saying I
Sure.
bet you subconsciously they're like, look how we've got confidence. This
We
is
got more and
moving
more.
forward, and
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you're
yeah.
going to get more. And so you see battle or not battle pass, whatever it's called. You see the seasons, and your brain is just saying, well, they have a little confidence, but the thing is it really doesn't mean that at all. I mean, I think now we have enough examples that it doesn't mean anything. I was
Destiny
asking what
2 will
Battlefield
last 10
did.
years. Sorry.
Battlefield games is a general practice. Oh, no, sorry. So I was asking them what they thought, but somebody explained to me that Battlefield had a bad release, super buggy, similar to Fallout 76 and Cyberpunk at launch. If it was
and they
similar
also had a
to
beta.
Cyberpunk, I feel like I would have heard even more about it. Hogwarts was a full game,
Yeah.
Sailor Mercury says. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And Hogwarts had me chomping at the bit for DLC. I'm just going to be honest.
Yeah, me too.
An expansion. That's the thing. Expansions, I love
Yeah. Yeah.
it's magical when it's real, man. When it's like, here's an expansion and here's Far Harbor. Because admittedly, whatever problems I have
Shivering
with
Isles.
Bethesda, Shivering Isles, Far Harbor are top tier. This is an expansion to the game, and it feels like I mean, Far Harbor didn't even feel like it did feel like Fallout, but it was dramatically, environmentally different and atmosphere. Shivering Isles is always going to be up there. It's so weird though. I can say Bethesda, and then they're the ones that people think started it all with horse armor. So it's like you have this thing where you're all, yeah, these great, but they also had horse armor. They were the ones that started.
What was the second Oblivion expansion? I only remember Shivering Isles, but there was another one. I remember there was another one because it came, the Xbox 360 game came with 2 expansions.
This was for
yeah,
Skyrim or Oblivion?
For Oblivion, because I miss like the whole term as well. Like rather than DLC, it just puts me back in those times where you just, you know, this game's getting an expansion. You know, I'm getting an expansion for my N64 to run game. I don't know. It's like it's an old term. And
so they had 10. Ori, or the Ori, was a fully functioning array that offers a once per day spell based on constellations, a small one, horse armor, spell tomes, the Thieves' Den, an underground pirate ship with a pirate team that can be recruited. That was released in 2006 for Oblivion. Maharoon's Razor, a powerful, unique dagger. The Vile Lair, an underground fortress with an immediate cure for vampirism. Oh.
What the?
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
I never knew about any of those.
Fighter's Stronghold, a castle with a team of warriors, cooks, hunters, and the like on standby at any time, as well as a quest. Wizard's Tower, a tower with altars for making spells, enchanting, and summoning Daedric companions. Knights of the Nine, that's the one you're thinking. Knights of the Nine, yeah, a new storyline with a unique set of armor. Shivering Isles, which is number 1.
Yeah.
So they had locations, seems to be what they were big on for Oblivion, like new spots, and one for each, right? Yeah, thieves, fighters. Yep. So they had a location / expansion for each one of the groups. That's not bad. Let's see. Shivering Isles was the only expansion. It had several smaller DLCs. Oh, you're saying those others are DLCs. Fair enough.
But except Knights of the Nine, right?
Except for Knights of the Nine, that seems like it's pretty close to an expansion, but I don't remember how long it was. I just remember
as big as Shivering Isles.
It's like Nuka World and Far Harbor, where
but it's
Nuka
cool
World
what
was
you
a
can
little smaller.
do with Nuka World though, like in the story, like because there's a group of people in Fallout I don't like, so what you can do in Nuka World to them is pretty cool.
Man, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the other one is, of course, War of the Chosen for XCOM.
Oh, that's a game. That's not even an expansion, dude. That's
true.
the
That was
game.
standalone too, wasn't it? Did War of the Chosen sell as a standalone?
No.
You have to buy XCOM 2 plus War of the Chosen, but War of the Chosen was the game. Like it was.
Yeah, I wouldn't play that game
that
ever
was the
anymore.
full game.
Yeah.
when it comes to the new like these games, I will say, I think this is just me personally saying, I feel ESO has done a good job on expansions. Not everyone has hit, but I feel like they're pretty smart with how the locations they roll out.
Here's the thing: when you get to MMOs, there's, I think, in my humble opinion, there's a right way to do expansions and a wrong way to do expansions. And in my opinion, a lot of them do the wrong way. Like World of Warcraft, basically, when a new expansion comes out, let's say you unlocked a new region to the world, you're just playing in that one region. That's it. The whole world is moot. Everything is gone. Everything old, boom, you don't do that anymore. You just play in this little region. So you're kind of going bits by bits. Like you're not adding on, you're not expanding the world. It just feels like you're just going through it because that's where the live service is taking you, because that's the next tier of content, right? So I like it when MMOs, for example, I think Elder Scrolls does this well, where you can start anywhere and everything is added into the world.
Agreed. So I do like that
thing, right?
Yeah.
So that makes it feel like the world is actually expanding. But yeah, MMOs fall into this trap a lot, where it's just like, oh, this is an expansion, that means it's required. That's it. This is the game now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, where they when they do feel like a portal to another place, and you portal back and portal in, and you're like, okay, this doesn't feel like it's a part of the world. It feels like it's just this side pocket.
And most
universe.
of the time, you don't even have to portal back. Like that's it. This is your new region now. This is
the new spot.
Yeah.
Some people were saying that Starcraft's Brood War expansion was a new game.
Of course.
But that's been a long time.
Diablo 3's expansion made the game good.
Diablo 3's expansion, was that packed with the warehouse fix, the auction house fix, or was the auction house fix separate? I think it was separate,
I think that
right?
was a bit, yeah.
I think it was prior.
I think it was a bit prior, yeah, but it was when everything started turning around, you know, there's Endgame and all that stuff, yeah.
Oricinium is one of the best DLC X packs to ESO to date, in my opinion, both story and content-wise.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, some of these guys know how to handle it.
Y'all making me want to play it.
I jumped in last week with well, I was going to jump in with Jay Reaper and Solar played on their own, and I was setting up a character, and our times didn't lap up. But I jumped in there and played it, and I'm like, dude, it's not much worse combat than what you'd expect for a B-level jank game that's single player. It's pretty good combat, but it's so big, and it looks pretty enough. It is old, so there's some creakiness to it. But, man, I still think their writing is better than... I think their writing is better than the mains.
I think their writing is better. I think their quest lines are more engaging. But, of course, it doesn't replace the reason why I play Bethesda games, which is, like, you have a permanent impact on the world, whatever you do, wherever you move items, blah, blah, blah. So it takes away from that a little bit, even with 76. But on the other hand, it does... It is like an MMO where you feel like you're playing an Elder Scrolls game more so than an MMO.
Yeah. Do you do any MMOs, Johnny? You're doing Final Fantasy, right? That's your main?
I did Final Fantasy. I did ESO. And what's funny is that even though they are like, you know, massively multiplayer games, I played both of them pretty much like a single player game.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I would say I probably do too, man. Like a lot of them, I can't trust that I will have the same time as everybody else. It'll be I'll be up at 3 a.m.
The same investment in the story. Like maybe I want to listen to the voicings in ESO. And
if you
I know
skip
Reg
the fucking cutscenes with me, Reg doesn't.
Dude. No, I think he did, but just to put an example, you know, maybe he does, or like we're not in sync with how fast we want to go, or you know.
Yeah, you're an anarchist if you're skipping cutscene. Fuck you. If I'm like, dude, I do not like that shit. I played Secret World with Takedown. You didn't skip them though, right? You didn't skip them.
I love
the Secret World, but watching Takedown leaping in the background behind the character talking because he wouldn't read anything, and then he'd wonder what the quest was about, and I'm like, you, like, dude, you're ruining it for me, which sometimes, I'm sure he loved. Go ahead, Johnny. Let Johnny just go real quick. What were you saying, Johnny?
I was going to say I had an experience where I started playing a game in co-op with a friend. I thought it was a great idea at the time, and I immediately regretted my decision when she she like skipped a cutscene, and it skips for both of us.
And you're committed.
It's like sorry, we're done. Like
yeah. It's over.
It's over.
That I don't know how I'd handle if it skipped for me too. Then there would be some battling. What were you going to say, Abzi? Sorry, what you were going to say?
Oh, sorry. It's I guess it's off topic now, but about like that's sometimes I start MMOs going like, hey, I'm just gonna play solo, do the story. Like FF14 is a good example. I was like, hey, you know what? I just want to experience the story. And by the end, I'm like, all right, raid teams, we gotta do XX. You know what I mean? Like P4S right now. And
That's cool.
Get super try hard with it if you get super attached to it, and then you start. It's one of those things that like, okay, you see Steam reviews that have over 1,000 hours that like rate a game negatively. You play a game too much, and you start seeing like, oh no, you start seeing the flaws. But yeah.
I mean,
that does that.
I definitely find myself more invested the first time. I think a lot of MMOs, if I jumped into again, I would certainly question, like what we were doing. But the first time, I want to see the cutscene because I feel like I've worked. I mean, I sort of worked for that. I'm putting my money and time to, unless they're bad, you know. But most MMOs I won't play if they have a bad story. Not a bad story, but I mean a bad.
Presentation or something.
A bad presentation, it does impact me a little bit. We were, we almost had him on today. Josh, Strife Hayes, is that Josh?
Mm-hmm.
I always think I mess up that first part. To talk about MMOs, and because that's one of the things I'd like to get his idea on is like what pulls you into an MMO. Is it the social element? If it is, that doesn't work for me because I rarely overlap. It is the presentation and of course gameplay. I did ask a bunch of people what they had for questions for us, and Twitter is filled. We'll try to get through these quick. First one, Symbol. If you haven't addressed it already, I'd like to hear your take on the PS5 Pro.
I don't like refreshes, mid thing, refresh, whatever. I'm not a huge fan of that concept personally.
I would say right now my excitement is very, very low. But we just have to see what it offers. Yeah, refreshes have been ultimately a little disappointing. I think that Scorpio might not have been, though, because I do remember it was a good deal above the Xbox One, but it's a one-off. That's more just lucky. Rokas Michael says, is there any chance for a resurgence of mainstream RTS games? Trying to find a good one is hard. There was a time when we were swimming in them.
Yeah, there was.
There was. Yeah, so let's think. RTS, so Homeworld comes out this 2 weeks from now. So Homeworld is, it is an RTS for sure. RTS is other than that, though.
There's Age of Empires.
Yeah, like big flagship
Age of Empires.
Ones.
But are there any new? So you do have Age, which I mean is doing really well. There's understand,
a promising, AA one coming out from devs of Blizzard, I think, that made StarCraft. It's very
they showed a cinematic, right, of that one.
Yeah, and they showed some gameplay stuff, and they seem to be doing some good stuff there. Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, is there a chance of a resurgence? I would say probably. There's a chance all the time, but I would say RTSs are mixed in with everything else now, like your League of Legends RTS. Like there's I don't know if RTS appeals to people as much as
pure
RTS. Pure RTS may not appeal to people as much right now because there's these games that are doing not pseudo RTS, but they're deeper in. There's less characters to track, and I think a lot of people like that. But Age of Empires is doing stellar for Microsoft, which shows that at least Age of Empires is doing well. What's another one? What's another one that's even new?
They added expansions for like Age of Empires 2 and 3. Like they're updating all of them. They're not just focusing on one, which I find really cool. And I think with the PC
that is true.
They might see.
I asked people in chat what are some RTSs I'm forgetting about that are like newer. They've done insanely well, admittedly, with Age of Empires updating the old one, and said like it's been pretty crazy. I don't know why. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that's an odd game to go back and say we're gonna power through this. Oh, Total War.
Yeah.
Total War, of course.
War, which is like turn-based, but there is RTS in there. That's true.
Oh yeah, the mix, right? It's got your turn-based in the overseer mode or whatever, and then you go real time in the battle. Yeah.
There's also another one that I love. It's indie. It's not really a big game, but I always love it, and it's kind of RTS, but like has like an overload mechanic. And it's, what was it called again? I have it right here. It is the one where you're like a rat. You know what I'm talking about? It's like kind of French
I reviewed that. Austin Wintory did the audio for it.
Austin Wintory did the audio for it.
It's
Fuck, what is
Tail.
that
So
game called?
it's either
Yeah.
not
Yeah, you're
War
onto
Tales
something.
or
You're onto something.
But
Fuck,
yeah, you were
good.
rats and mice, and you're different.
Tooth and tail.
Tooth and tail. Yeah, you were
Yes.
rats and mice and all that
Right.
stuff, and they got like more. You got bigger ones as you leveled up, and of course, his music is awesome.
And another
so.
one that I love is called They Are Billions, and it's also
everybody
kind of,
likes. That's a good point. They Are Billions is really popular.
It's you can pause and stuff too. Yeah.
Let's see. Next one up. This is Goat. The Goat. Just saying. Is there? You got Goat as a username? Oh, I see. Okay, it's not his Twitter. I was like, he's lucky if he got Goat as his actual Twitter name. Is there any website that you visit often that's useful or you think is unknown? For example, I think I check Slick Deals every day, seeing what great deals I can find. Feedly is probably my favorite because you can choose. Like I have a games where it takes all the game websites that I follow and puts them into one feed. But it does the same thing for cars. You sign up, you can make a personal account. And then Bleeping Computers for tracking, like the shit people on the internet, the crap heads. What websites do you go? Do you guys go to any? Man. Websites that like might not be known. Is there anything you guys go to for, let's say, like the future of AI and stuff? I usually find that on Reddit Futurism because they're pretty positive. So I go there because I don't want to hear all the crap.
I'm subscribed to an email thing. I forgot what it was called.
Like a newsletter?
It's a newsletter for tech. So I usually get my AI updates from there and new stuff in the tech industry.
Yeah. Any for you, Johnny? Any websites or any?
No, I have a few Substack people that I follow. That's about it.
Looking here, I do want to point out because Abzi mentioned a newsletter. So I will say this one. This is, if you want to track, so this is a person who knows a ton about games, but also takes all the numbers that are pretty, I would say not necessarily transparent, and breaks them down. And it's called the Games Discover Co. And I've got a bunch of people to subscribe to it. I think it's $5. Just be aware. But it's a newsletter by somebody who breaks everything down. Like one of the first, or today's post, or the last couple days, is which countries dominate Steam bandwidth usage. Then he'll say, Manor Lords is a smash hit, but exactly how big compared to what the numbers look like versus others, that kind of stuff. But he breaks down things in a very awesome, easy to digest way, and it's some of the numbers you see thrown around as like, oh, this console's doing better than this console, so that means they're winning. And that's an example. It's not really what he's written. And he'll break it down to why sometimes the numbers that are reported may not be, exactly accurate, why they're accurate, that kind of stuff. Did you say Simon Carlos? Is that who it is? You might be right. Why does that seem familiar to me? You know what? I can't. Yeah, you're right. So whoever said that in chat, you're a good person. Simon Carlos. Very good newsletter. But I believe I pay $5 for it, and I can tell you guys, if I can get it free on the internet, I ain't paying $5. His stuff was worth $5. I read like 5 of the articles, and I was like, oh my God, finally somebody who like speaks to what's actually occurring versus any kind of, flame war shit.
Yeah.
Brian Kraft says, is there any hope we'll see a Wolf Among Us 2 this year? This year? I don't think so. I'd love to see it.
Probably not. You think next year then?
I think next year, yeah. Make sure it doesn't get hit by any surprise titles this year. Make sure it's done. They need a success on that one. I think it's yeah. And then
is it the same people doing? Is it the same people doing it, or a different group slightly?
It's the, how Telltale went up and down, and I don't know who works where anymore or under one umbrella. So I can just say that there might be a couple that overlap. There might even be a bunch. I don't know that, unfortunately. I'm not aware.
Because they did recently the Expanse one, and that seemed pretty in line with their... Yeah,
it hit exactly where you would expect, if that makes sense. There were no surprises. The Star Trek one is the unfortunate surprise because it had a lot of bugs and it didn't really hit as hard as I was hoping. I was really hoping for the Telltale. It's not Telltale's, it was the other company. I think it's called Star Trek Resurgence or Star Trek. I think there's an R in the subtitle, but it was rough. Next question is Ransom says Divinity Original Sin new board game by Larian. I think he just wants us to talk about it. I don't mess with a lot of video game board games. I've messed with Dark Souls.
Oh, we talked about it, right? With
we did. Michael,
thank you. Yeah. Some of those are good, but you'd sort of never know.
And then Counter-Strike Casuals podcast says, how intrusive would you allow an online anti-cheat program to be on your PC if it worked and ensured there was never any cheaters?
100% I'm in.
But I think he's saying how intrusive, like, would you let it read every single thing on your hard drive? Because no, I would not.
No, I wouldn't. If there's like issues with that, no, but I mean, like, I'd let it
rootkit or something is what you said.
I'd let it rootkit as long as there's no major performance decreases. The one thing I wouldn't want it messing with is like performance on other games and shit like that.
Yeah, I think performance is where I would draw the line if it's really significant. Recently, like 2 days ago or something, they put in Vanguard in League of Legends.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it now, like, but I'm completely on board, by the way. I think that's very necessary. In games like that, you have a lot of scripters and stuff. So you jump into a game, you're trying your best, and like you may be playing against someone who has a script to dodge every spell you cast.
Yeah.
I think that's what Ashley was talking about exactly, was some script for dodging every attack or something.
Yep, my friends did that. Yeah. Which was really bad. Terrible.
My answer would be, I haven't wanted to play an online game bad enough that I would want anything installed on the hard drive as you reboot or something like that. But if I did do competitive, and we do have we have about 6 ex-competitive players in our Discord, true competitors, like their names are on websites as winning award. They've been pretty open that, like, the more you like it, the more you have to start looking at maybe that PC being just for that. If you are worried about something else, then maybe you're at a level where that's the PC for playing that. And it doesn't even have to be the ultra power PC, because a lot of these online games, they're not about the looks at all. In fact, they're about performance. Personally, I don't have any rootkits installed. I don't even know of one that I would play that does. If I was competitive and it started to really impact me, that's a serious thought process of what would I allow, or I don't want them. But if it was, so let me explain it this way. I'm using Premiere and I'm paying monthly. I used to pay once, and then they switched to the sub. And because it's a part of my job, I have to pay it. I could switch to a free one or switch to a one-off, and I've tried a couple times. I think the same thing goes. The more invested I am in YouTube, the more I'm I sort of have to buy into an ecosystem I don't love. But if it's easy anti-cheat, fuck that. And next up, let's see. Kyle says, are you going to shit all over vinegar chips again, or have you come to your senses? And then somebody right over says, I hope he brings it up again. I'll bring it up again. Vinegar chips are fucking gross. You want to eat a douche chip? Go ahead.
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with you guys, man? Vinegar Lays? Seriously, you don't like?
Well, that too, but also,
you're talking about French fries.
French fries.
Oh no, I'm talking about chips.
Here in the UK, they put vinegar on and salt.
Oh.
So yeah, I don't.
Oh no, I'm talking about salt and vinegar chips.
I don't. That's gross chips to me. I don't like the the tart vinegar. I'm just not a vinegar fan.
I wouldn't. In a salad, it's great. But,
you know how it is. It's just it's a particular taste that I don't like. Like, I love lemons, and a lot of my friends don't like lemon even pop or something citrus. They completely it's just not for them. That's the way I am with vinegar. A friend of mine says they don't hate that flavor. Not saying it's me at all. Did you guys see Mutant League Football 2 is coming? Oh, is it? We had the creator come on the podcast. It was right when we started. I like the D&D football games. I'm a fan of the Blood Bowls, Mutant Leagues.
Blood Bowl.
Yeah, I really am a fan. The last one wasn't great, but the mixed ones, where it's like D&D mixed with football, and you finally get to see somebody get blown apart on a football or in a football stadium. So looking here, I don't see anything announced. Let me look closer. Okay, there we go. Mutant League Football on Steam. Mutant League Football 2 is on Steam, and it says Digital Dreams May 31st. Well, I'll ask. I'll see if I can get code for it. I liked Mutant League Football 1. Another question we're being asked, and I don't know if I've heard of this. This is not sure, saying any interest in V Rising 1.0?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I've been waiting. Yeah, I bought it in early access, played a little bit, and waited, and now it's paying off. I didn't burn myself out. I didn't play much, so.
Did you just touch up on it,
fun.
Verify, that you liked
Just
its
played a
core
little bit.
gameplay or whatever? Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I like what they're doing here. These guys know how to make good mechanics for isometric. They know what they're doing, and I'm just gonna wait until 1.0, and now it's here.
Can you hear me? Just so you know,
Yeah.
I just hit my mic and it's got that bad wire I was telling you about. So,
Yeah.
Absy, on Wednesday. So if it goes bad, tell me.
Sure.
I got a new wire, but I was like, I've got it. I've got it. We're good. Siet13 says malted vinegar on fries is hella good. Oh. Sean says, I'm a big tabletop role-playing fan, and the Dragon Age one by Green Ronin is better than D&D. Green Ronin liked the mechanics so much that they made their own version of the game after the contract expired. Yeah, Green Ronin's a company that's been around for a long time as like a D&D alternative or a D&D supplement, and they've been very good. I like a lot of their stuff. I like it more than some of the other companies that are out there. I think with V Rising being 1.0 and coming to the consoles, right? It's coming to the consoles as well, I think, at the same time. Isn't that the story? I think it's doing both. That could be cool to see. I just wasn't a big fan of what I played.
Oh, really?
Not in a bad way, just not for me.
Yeah. Full release, yeah. No, PlayStation 5 later, I think.
Oh, okay.
Set for May. V Rising full release set for May. PlayStation later, it says.
I think if it hits for consoles, it could see a big rise. I haven't played that one too much.
That was your console.
Oh, here we go. While we were talking. Arrowhead CEO directly responds to negative review scores. This is for the Helldivers. He says, well, I guess it's warranted. Sorry, everyone, for how this all transpired. I hope we will make it up again and regain the trust by providing continued great game experiences. I just want to make great games. So it's not going back.
Walking it back.
They're not walking it back. Yeah,
they can't, I don't think.
I don't think they can either. And I think it's just, it is what it is. Like, I feel like there's no walking that back. That's sort of
because they probably did it for a good reason, right?
And when did Sony ever listen? Sony never listens to community, so they will never walk it back, and it's probably in their hands.
And I'm sure it's not just them. I'm sure that devs get some pluses from all of this stuff, but that was at least saying, "Hey, like it's not Tarkov's response."
No, fuck no. Oh, did you see he had this? So they had a stream as well, and he was like going off. You aren't true believers.
Oh no!
Complaining. We don't have pay to win. It's not pay to win. You will see. Oh man. Yeah, no.
Yeah, that would have handled bad.
To add a point to the V Rising thing, I think that's a tough one. Another example of the early access burning my excitement for a game, because I did play it and I did enjoy it. But the thought of like
returning,
playing from scratch, right, and grinding out a lot of those
this
materials
is why I
and things.
Didn't play early access.
Yeah, it just so happened that a few of my friends were playing, so I really got into it. I even rented a private server for my community and
full
everything.
Hard. Full in. Yeah.
So it's a tough one. It would have to be like people that I know are playing it, and we would maybe play together. That would be the only way.
So in the Discord and on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all the places you can follow, I've been doing questions of the day, and they've been getting insane response. Usually we do it in Discord and everybody talks, I'll ask a weird question. This one is, what is one quality of life or excellent idea or mechanic that a game's added that makes you like it right away or like it more? And Nemesis was the first response, which I assumed, the WB Nemesis. But some of the other responses were like pretty interesting. So, for example, fall damage being turned off in Jedi Survivor is very helpful when looking for hidden things without resorting to the map. I thought that was not what I was expecting to hear about Jedi Survivor. Something plausible. Here's Spear Dusk. Toggle walk for mouse and keyboard. So you can go slow with them. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, what about the mouse roll? What about the mouse roll? I don't mind mouse roll.
I was gonna say the mouse roll, which not a lot of games have. Only like Tarkov and maybe Splinter Cell did it. Is like the one thing I would love to see in every single PC game.
Yeah, I think mouse roll works really well as a middle ground. Versus them controlling you, let's say. You know, like if there was a game where they control you and they sort of lock you into the walking
Slow.
with the walking with the person. I think that works well.
Yeah.
So Spear Dust brought that up. Ben says 2 items stand out for me. Fast travel's become a fundamental feature in my open world games. It can make or break the experience. Also, the ability to move items directly into storage when your inventory is full. This was a huge improvement in Demon Souls.
I don't like those at all.
Yeah, I would say I'm not a massive fan of it, but I do.
It depends on the game, right?
It depends on the game. Yeah, because I was going to say
it works in Horizon. Yeah.
And for me, if I could quick travel everywhere in Dragon's Dogma, it would have been not nearly as enjoyable as the like danger of walking around, even though it wasn't super dangerous when you leveled up. DMCC says footsteps of where you have been recently on the map, and that is a phenomenal answer. So when you go into the mini map, instead of seeing here's your icon, here's the arrow, you can also see like, you know, maybe the last 100 yards of where you've walked. That can actually help me figure out like where exactly I am or how big the world is by how many dots there are. I think that's a good example.
I also love like in open world games that the map be completely gray, and as you explore, you like color in the map.
Yeah,
and you get more of the map as you like a fog of war.
You explore. Basically, like or even nothingness, like Dragon's Dogma, how they did it, and you know where you haven't explored and stuff. Yeah.
Deep Rock Galactic, allow people to drop in at any time, let you set gamers as friends only. Really made it a great game for a great game for a bunch of busy, tired older gamers. Brandon says, my favorite is when games that use text boxes provide an option to have the dialogue auto advance. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've seen that where it's not, and you're pressing the button, but it's like, it's nice to be able to say, you know, short, medium, long, delay, and then just auto advance.
Yeah.
The unstuck feature when it is in games has been awesome. I will agree with that. Have you guys seen that in some games where it'll say like unstick because your character will get stuck? It's not in a ton, and maybe it indicates they should probably fix it, but the ability for you to do it without, like, let's say, emailing the dev and saying, I have a problem in this game. John C. says one. This will be contentious. He says the grappling hook in Halo Infinite. I never knew it would be so awesome.
You're in luck because there's grapple hooks everywhere now.
Yeah, it's weird because I didn't mind it at all, but it certainly did make it feel not Halo. I don't know how to describe it. It felt it worked, but it didn't necessarily fit in Halo. But it fit in that version of Halo. Maybe I'll say that. Maybe in Infinite it fit because the world was a certain way. Let's see. Ori and the Blind Forest, instant respawns made that game for me. It was tough as nails, but the instant respawn got me right back into the action and kept me from being discouraged. That's fair. Instant respawn's awesome. Respawn where you are, respawn where you are. Games with voice boost options. I'm deaf in one ear, so hearing voices in games requires me to turn up the volume of the game really high. So any sound linked to audio settings are now blasted in my ear. I get that. Yeah. Let's see. Mouse looking in FPS. Yeah, man, I remember the first time I mouse looked and being like, oh, shit.
So good. Hold the mouse button and just look around without your gun. Amazing.
Yeah, Arma has that where you can turn the character's head while you're running one direction. It's pretty nice if you're making sure you're not going to get shot in the face, you know, and you're trying to verify something's out there.
It always reminds me like playing DayZ mod, and my friend would be running and he'd constantly look back to see I'm like right there with him, you know. It's kind of like, hey.
Oh, yeah, to see if you were with him. I get it. That's cool. I hadn't thought about it that way. Monster Hunter World, adding less tedious tasks and making the collecting process a bit easier. No breaking nets, pickaxes, or whetstones. Plus, as a gunner, auto reload and running and gunning. Fallout 76 allows you to activate and deactivate quests by clicking on the icon right on the map. Inactive quest turns into a real subtle gray dot, and all the waypoints are removed.
That's a big one.
That is a big one.
Do you remember in Witcher 3, like you can't have multiple quests show up on the map? Oh, buddy.
Entity says, the Dead Rising franchise as a whole, gameplay where you can use almost anything and everything around you as a weapon. I mean, yeah, I'd like any game that allows that. The more interactivity, the better. And here's the best one, and the one it popped up instantly in the Discord. Atomic Heart's ability to suck up loot.
That one's a good one.
That was fantastic. Just a dark Jedi putting your arm out and shit was just and they had a reason in the game. They sold it a little bit. And
Even
they were like, here you go.
Pacific Drive did that, dude, with the vacuum. Yeah.
Outward has this is Doom Reaper. He says Outward has a map to use for reference, but doesn't allow you on it like a real map. I don't remember Outward. You played Outward though, right?
Yes.
Do you know what?
So the map is. Yeah, the map is static. You don't see your cursor on the map. Like you only.
You don't know where you are in the map.
You don't know where you are in the map. Yeah. So like you have to use the environments around you to kind of tell. Okay, this is north. This is west.
I see. Okay. All right. Rocket jumping and Quake. Doom Reaper also says, yeah, rocket jumping, man. When you figured out that like it would push, man, it changed everything. Rocket jumping over somebody, damaging yourself on purpose, but still being able to hit them was awesome. I wish every open world RPG had all side quests visible on map. Oh, the ability to, except maps can get pretty busy if it's a side quest heavy game.
Yeah. Gotta balance
that. You just fucking see thousands of them. Let's see. Any others? Surge games had a system where you could bank all your souls to keep them safe, even if you didn't have enough to go up a level. Yeah,
that's cool.
That was awesome. And then last, this is THC Moonman. I wonder if he smokes pot. The Witcher alchemy system. Once you craft the recipe, you never have to search for the ingredients again.
Oh, it's great.
Potions refill upon rest. Gathering resources for alchemy has always been tedious in games. You end up hoarding your best potions out of fear of grinding.
That's a good one.
I agree. I agree, but I do drink a lot of potions in the middle of a tense battle, and I don't care what they are. Yeah. I just drink everything, and there's fucking...
They will do something.
Starfield, there'll be shit there that like causes addiction mixed with the food, and if I'm in the middle of it, I mean, it's a pause. I don't know why I'm doing it, but I'm like, I just grab, I eat everything, and then go back into battle and hope it helps.
Psychos and Fallout, get me all the psychos, man.
Yeah. Well, how did Borderlands... So, how did Borderlands... Did they have... It's been a long time since I played. I think the last one I played was the D&D one. Did they have drinks in that? That altered your abilities?
No.
Man, it's no.
I don't think so.
I don't believe so.
Man, it's been a long time since I played. I mean, I think the last time I played a Borderlands was that particular time. Salloway says, "What about one that I hate? I hate games that have you lock on enemies and use the right stick to go between enemies." Oh,
see, I never had a problem with that particular.
I
would agree. I don't think I did either.
I don't like I'm bored of like the lock-on type of games that like have you, you're right there and you're in front of someone, you're 1v1ing everyone all the time. I prefer like the ones where you just like can bounce around depending on where you're aiming. So I do see that come up a lot, and I am kind of burnt out on that. Yeah.
Jay Reaper says Doom or State of Decay, the permanent death. I love the permanent death in State of Decay. I like anything that does that in State of Decay. You know, I'm not going to bring up the thing I was bitching about earlier, but yeah, any of the high stakes stuff you can do in State of Decay is awesome. I think it fits it. And then Jay also dropped a $10 super chat. Great pod. Have a good weekend, boys. See you in chat, dude. I'll watch you. I'll watch you run in circles. So here's the thing with Jay, man. I love watching this guy play. He plays fine, but when he starts talking, his brain goes into I'm paying attention to the talk mode, and he's auto running in a circle. So we'll be sitting there talking, and then I'll hear somebody go, Jay, what is going on? And you'll look, and he's just going, da, 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 and he's just cranked it to the right, and then he's talking. Yeah, because he's like, so I really like Dune 2, blah, blah, blah. And it's just, it looks like a clown car. I love it. Let's see, silent and skippable logos and intro screens. You know, I got to admit, if the game isn't modded and isn't crashing all the time, I hear people bring it up, but it's a little like when people bring up reboot speed on a Windows machine as being a bother. And I'm like, you know, I'm not rebooting 24/7. So, yeah.
I just don't like unskippable cutscenes upon retrying a boss.
Absolutely.
Because I'm already pissed because I died or I made a mistake.
Okay, now let's talk about the great separator, Johnny. Do you like hold Y to skip, or hit A, then hit A again to say you really do want to skip? I
think I like the hold. I'm a fan of the hold.
You like the hold?
Yeah.
I find that I panic, or don't panic, but I get restless and I won't hold it long enough, and then I'll like try to time the skip,
Okay,
and
yeah.
it'll go, you haven't held it long enough, and it
then you have to be
resets.
like,
And I'll be like,
yeah.
God damn it, yeah. And by the way, that's a me thing. There's nothing in the game that does that. I'm just like,
that's happened to me.
I don't know why I'm gaming the game all the time, but especially like if I'm just sitting with the guys talking or something, I'll be like,
No, I've had it, and like for example, Stellar Blade, you have to hold the button to skip some cutscenes. Others you can't skip, which by the way, fuck you for those.
Yeah.
But the ones you can skip, you hold circle, but you can't already be holding circle. You only start holding circle when the prompt appears. It doesn't work if you were already holding it. So you have to be patient and like wait until the icon shows up and then you can skip.
I guess
I
I'm
had
not patient.
times where I was already like holding it and it doesn't skip. So,
and I get angsty even if it's fully paused and a guy is getting ready to attack. So I will, when I'm going to a menu, I like it when the background is still there. I don't like it blurred, weirdly enough, but I like when the background's still there so I can go, okay, I'm getting ready to unpause. This guy's in the middle of an attack and I need to, like, I'm getting ready for the dodge, and I hate soft exits of menus.
I try to never pause mid, because I always will get hit. I just will. Yeah.
SBZ says $5. Another Sony outrage news. I just learned they're going to censor the physical art book for a piece of a piece of Blue Glass Moon. Switch release will remain unaltered. A piece of Blue Glass Moon. So that's the name of a game. That is a weird name. That's like Triangle Strategy. A piece of Blue Glass Moon. He says
100% going to be Japanese, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. That's interesting. So they're censoring what? They're censoring the art book?
Art book.
How do you censor the... Do you not post the picture, or does it post like a thing over a crotch or something? I mean, what are they going to post? What are they going to put in an art book that's like...
I'm curious.
Some waifus?
Yeah, I'm looking at this, so it's... Oh, boy, is it expensive. This order on Amazon's $80, and it has no pre-order stuff. Why is it $80? It must include the art book in this. Limited edition. Oh, okay, there we go. Special edition book. Huh. Man, censoring an art book, I'm sorry, censoring art, even if it's tasteless, bothers the shit out of me. Like,
I agree. Because maybe that's the reason someone liked the art in the first place, was the provocative or whatever.
Creepy dude who liked the art. I'm just joking. Yeah, it is absolutely true. Somebody may have got it just for that.
But
I
do have to say,
OnlyFans and not seeing any nudes there, you know?
Oh, dude, yeah, that would be like paying for an OnlyFans where they say they have video and you go and it's just them taking pictures in bunny ears, and you're like, come on. Yeah. I've done that. Not on OnlyFans. I mean, like, SoundCloud. But I would say when it comes to censoring the art book, that's pretty crazy to me, because especially it's not even really connected to the publisher. That's the art. That's like, it's not...
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with Sony, really, or any. I mean, that it just seems like that's, I don't know. SBZ $5 super chat said immediately canceled and switched to the Switch. I'm assuming my pre-order to the Switch, to the Switch version, censoring a physical bonus for a limited edition rated M game.
Oh yeah, I see.
Yeah, if it's rated already M anyway. Rated M too.
If it's already rated M, deal with it.
Yeah,
like that's on you. And I mean, that is weird, man. Yeah, why are you censoring a rated M game? Yeah, that seems really odd. I don't know, man. I don't know why. It's an art book. Like, you just put it under, just sell it, make somebody go through whatever steps to buy it that you want to do for an age gate. But
everyone's just so scared about stuff. I don't know. What is everyone scared of, man?
I don't know. And who's going to... Maybe they look a little young, so it might be they're worried, like, oh, this person. But that's the other thing that's been popping up a lot.
Japan.
That's. I mean, that is. You're
not gonna get any old looking.
Yeah. When was the last time you saw like an old looking protagonist in a Japanese game?
When is it?
It just. I mean,
5,000-year-old goddess.
I mean, I will admit, I brought this up in our chat. I don't know if you guys were in this one, but we were talking about this was talking about Starfield about a month and a half ago, and I was like, the one thing that does get me on Starfield is everybody in there looks like old Gristle. I mean, Sarah shows up, she's like, do you want a secret that I've been holding in my pocket? I'm like, thanks, but no.
Oh yeah, there's no hot girls in I mean, there's some...
Starfield's very different in that way. They're like, aged. I don't know any other way to say it. I just noticed it.
Yeah, they're weathered. It's like,
they've been exploring with gamma rays hitting their face from the
Almost every
spaceship.
Bethesda game, right?
Yeah.
It's like where are the hot girls at? Almost every Bethesda game, it's like where's the?
Is it because it's been a long time since I can remember?
Yeah, even like Fallout. Yeah, for sure.
I thought Skyrim, the girl that I got in Whiterun, I think it's Whiterun. She's one of the big warriors.
Yeah,
I think I liked her.
They can be
cute.
pretty, but they are like we're saying weathered. Like
yeah. Dude, I'm telling you, Sarah
leather.
shows up and she's like, you want a secret thing from my pocket? I'm like, I do not.
You need them mods, boy.
Yeah.
You need them.
Yeah.
You need them.
Yeah, she's seen a number of sunrises. And
Yeah, I didn't love her. I liked her somewhat, but I will say this: that it's weird because some of the side NPCs you can get are better than the ones you can get from the main companions. It's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's happened before in Bethesda. It happens in a lot of games. It happened in Outer Worlds. I felt there was a couple I liked in Outer Worlds, but they weren't, other than Bavardi or whatever, right? That's her name. Yeah. What were you saying though, Abzi? Sorry, I interrupted you.
I was saying plus like almost every main companion is like a goody two shoes. They just don't like it when you steal, don't like it when you do anything. It's like
they definitely had too many that were based in the Constellation group.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
That was, and that's what I mean is these two that I got, and I'm gonna mess his name up. It's like Mateo. He is awesome, and I think I got in Aquila, and his story is cool, and he has almost more to say than Sarah or what's her name, and I'm just like going,
Andrea.
why is it? Yeah. I'm like, why? You know what I was going to say, but I'm not going to. But I was like, why is this person not one of the main ones? But I think their focus on the Constellation, was just they needed one character there. There was maybe X Constellation you could hire where they're like, we kicked him out because he was too aggressive. I'm like, that's my guy then. That's who I think
want. Too, it's like they were too judgmental, in my opinion, because what I would expect from someone like Andrea who has gotten her hands dirty, it would be like a bit less judgment and a bit more like realism or pragmatism about,
or maybe giving you information about how to correct your actions instead of saying I hate you or whatever, saying I went down that road and there's a reason why I'm not on that road anymore. You'd be like, okay, this
that's one reason I really liked Baldur's Gate 3's companions were really, really good.
They were,
when it came to they were dynamic with their alignments,
and they had good motivations too that you could kind of understand.
Yeah, they did a good job.
Would we say then that for party members? So I've always been attracted to the Baldur's Gate party members since the original. I thought they were good already, but are they probably the best ones then so far that we've seen in the game?
Oh yeah, that's a good. Yeah, I think Baldur's Gate 3
because they beat out Pillars. I can't tell you a single character in the Pillars of Eternity. The party members.
Yeah, no, there's one guy in Pillars I will never replace. Maybe two, and it's the crazy priest guy. What the fuck was his name? God damn it! And the lady, the widow. I really like those two. But no,
in Pillars 1 or 2. Which
one.
Pillars is that? 1. Okay.
Pillars 1. Yeah. But as a whole, I think Baldur's Gate 3, like every character was very.
Yeah, Mass Effect had some good ones for sure.
Mass Effect, dude.
Really
I got to give them props. Morton and Rex are like top tier.
100%.
Yeah, they had.
I don't know how I didn't.
What I
remember
liked about those is the variety. You had such different companions you could invest time into.
They were not as dynamic. I felt that they were pretty, which is fine because they're militant. Most of the ones you're hiring are militant characters anyway. But I also felt that, dude, you know what Mass Effect is? If you consider it 3 games, which they are, but I'm saying if you consider all 3 games, they've nailed it pretty much all 3 games.
Even if you
don't like one of them. I didn't like Liara or whatever, but her presentation was thought out, had a full story. There was no
and for
the DLC characters
for a
were shady.
character of that type, she was well done.
Thought out.
Yeah, well good.
Even what's his name? The GIF. I forgot the robot guy. What the hell was his name, dude?
Legion?
He was amazing. Legion, yeah, dude.
Legion was dude. Does this unit have a soul? I'm like, I don't know, but I do. I got a tear.
So
their DLC ones were not great though. Like Sneed, I think, is the name of the crew cut mercenary. They have like 10 extra words they say.
And
and the ninja chick, Kuma, or no, I can't remember, but anyway, one of the you get her one of the side characters. But yeah, they did a really good job. I think because I liked Ashley's stance of like hating other races because they hated her and what she's seen. I thought her arc was really good. And I know a lot of people just like the snoot-nosed chick in Baldur's Gate. A lot of people didn't like him.
Shadowheart.
Yeah.
Lae'zel is an interesting one because at first glance you hate her, but if you actually go through more of her story and develop.
Yeah, I couldn't stand it. I just threw her off a cliff.
Yeah, so if you give her a chance, come around.
There's no chance of a character arc if their arc is the trajectory of their body falling off a cliff.
Towards the bottom of the cliff.
If you've tossed them, that's the only trajectory you care about is the arc. Did they clear those rocks? No. That's fine. It's fine. Yeah, Ashley was anti-alien, nuanced. Yeah, I did like how that was done. But I like them all. I mean, even if I don't like them, I like that they were thought out. And definitely with Baldur's Gate, I think they did.
Yeah, they were.
The only one I didn't like, but it was because they wrote the character well. I just didn't like him was Gale at all.
You didn't like him?
I didn't really like Gale either. Actually, he was okay. I liked his side characters more than.
Oh right. Well, I mean, and that's the other thing too. It depends on how you play him, obviously. But I think that his entire arc just wasn't for me for whatever reason. But
yeah, fair enough.
It's pretty cool that last night I was playing with Dogmeat in Fallout, and there's no storytelling in that. You know, you have like 4 choices when you meet him: pet him, ask him where his owner is, say get away from me, and it's a dog and it works. And I'm like, if I was an RPG maker, guys, I would always shortcut with a dog. Every time.
Easy,
it works straight up, right? Yep. Dude, do you know how many mods there are for changing that motherfucker's look too? There's mods everywhere. They're like Alaskan Husky, Black, Labrador, blah blah blah. It's like it's obvious that it works. Yeah, it wouldn't be the same as a fucking bird. Nobody give a shit. Yeah. But it's like, can you imagine that?
Hey man,
it's like,
a raven would be cool. Though, a raven.
I shouldn't have said that because I know I could come up with 1,000. But the dog works, man. Like when a dog shows up, you're my bro.
Or a fish.
What are you gonna do? You gonna hold the bowl with you?
Can you imagine having a fish?
Carry it in a bag.
Here's my fish.
The guy from Dreamcast, dude. The fish from Dreamcast.
Seaman.
Yeah,
I called him Seaman all the time. I did Seaman. That cranky ass fish. Who thought that game up? Who was like, guys, got an idea. We put a fish in the screen and we just have him be pissed at you the entire game, and it worked. People talk about that game now all the time. Like, dude, this cranky pissy fish was awesome. Somebody had said Kasumi. I believe it was Kig who had corrected me on that name. Thank you very much. Zeed. Thane was good. Thane was awesome. One of my favorite characters, man. Thane was, dude, so the storyline for Thane. That's cool, though. I'm glad we mentioned another game because I think we can get stuck on, Baldur's Gate's the best, but there are actually Dragon Age Inquisition I didn't love, though.
Ooh,
I don't know about you guys. Dragon Age Inquisition's side characters
I
were
remember
a little...
the bull because of the sex scene, if you were gay.
Freddie Prinze Jr. It's Freddie Prinze Jr. who does the voice for Bull.
I just remember that.
The sex scene. You mean between you and him?
Yeah.
Between the player and him.
Yeah, the player.
I barely remember that game, dude. My brain has really tried to...
I saw like a YouTube.
So I'm trying to do that video, and I was like, okay, I'm going to find an impressive quote or speech from Dragon Age Inquisition. I could not find one. Now, I did find one from prior Dragon Age. Marketh or whatever her name is. No, that's the name of a city in Skyrim. It's whatever name, the dragon. Flemeth. Okay. And she's got a great one. I think it's in 2 or 1. But in Inquisition, I couldn't find a single like motivation. The writing isn't really there.
Inquisition writing isn't.
Felt a little tame. I loved Cassandra and Sarah Varric too.
Morrigan was a good one.
Varric was the pissy dwarf with the crossbow in Inquisition, right? Varric's in Inquisition. He's like he's from the Dark Road or whatever. Dragon Age had a lot of issues due to change of writers. I mean, I've seen games with change of writers and still do well, but whatever. I just think it was a sort of an indication of where he was going. Necro says, yeah, it's who I'm talking about. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What other ones? Are there any other games with good party members. It can't be a single companion, but like a good.
Yeah, obviously, like I would say, Kim is like the best companion ever made, but that's a single companion.
Oh, you're talking about Kim and Disco Elysium?
And yeah, of course.
Okay, let's talk about this. Let's go with what's the most surprising NPC you've met in a game? Because Kuno is on there, the pissy 13-year-old in Disco. But like when you met somebody, you're like, dude, and you can't take them with you. So what's one that you really like that you can't take with you? So Kuno's top tier for me.
Yeah, top tier. But you can kind of, he can become your partner.
Can he follow you throughout the entire game?
Yeah.
You sure? I feel like Kuno couldn't. I feel like I didn't have Kuno.
You can replace I didn't. Him with Kuno.
Because I tried to punch Kuno, slipped, and then he talked bad about me. And then I had a what do you call it? A negative perk or whatever, where it's like, destroyed by a 13-year-old. I was like, you sons of bitches. Dude, that game, that's why it rocked, because just, they even thought of like having the little kid destroy you. Was most surprising was Red in Final Fantasy. Who would have thought he would get a dog for a companion? I think that's fair. Red, I actually like Red.
He was surprising, and I loved Red, but I didn't like him later at all.
In Rebirth.
In Rebirth later, because he is like the epitome of what I hate about Japanese writing later. But anyways, yeah.
Let's see what Jody or Johnny. Do you have any that are like you meet them, even if it's a person who sells you shit in a game? Has there been anything?
Well, there is Vincent in Rebirth.
Mm-hmm.
So Vincent, you can't have him with you, which is a shame. I'm hoping they'll do something where you can.
In the next one where you can.
Yeah.
What other ones are good? Oh,
I think Tiny Tina in Borderlands.
Yeah,
I
Tiny
also
Tina
wanted to have her around, but yeah.
Tiny Tina's cool.
Handsome Jack.
It's crazy that she's voiced by the Horizon.
It really is.
Aloy's voice actress. Yeah.
Dude,
I couldn't believe it. Yeah.
So to me, one of the best that you can meet, but you can't take with you is I was gonna say it right when Johnny was talking about Final Fantasy. I wanted to make sure I mentioned this one too. It was, oh man, I think it was Skyrim or I was trying to think of ones in Oblivion. Darn, it's not there anymore. Let's see. Bro, I was so pissed when I got Nanaka as my date in Rebirth.
Nanaki. Yeah,
Nanaki.
It's maybe spoilers, but yeah.
Oh, there we go. Yakuza. Yakuza had a lot of side characters you meet where they're really cool, but you can't take with them. Yakuza just had Yakuza
they
sort
have
of filled.
Ton.
Yeah, Yakuza definitely has a lot of games or a lot of characters that are really cool, but they do let you be them in a weird way in The Man Who Erased His Name when you do the arena. And you can choose.
That was so weird.
Yeah, it was a weird ad though. But it was like,
weird.
why can I choose
you can play
these
with
characters?
Like a dipshit nobody, and he has like a very
dude, man, that's what I did. I got the dipshits, like the guys that had no name, like man in underwear, man in diaper. Yes, and they only had like one attack. I was like, these are my mains. I'm gonna try to.
Very interesting that they did that, man.
I actually wish it was in all of them. I think it was very enjoyable to be able to grab those guys like Pokemon.
A Watch Dogs Legion type of thing, dude. Imagine.
That'd be awesome.
Do that.
Speaking of Ubisoft games, man, there's definitely I actually Joseph Seed that's sort of not a fair choice because he's the antagonist, but Herc. Speaking of characters, I just want to mention back on the actual ones you can have with you. Nothing is going to beat Herc for me. He cracks me up every time. Far Cry, when you can have him in 5. He showed up, I think, the first time in 3. He's in Primal. And he's the redneck in 5. They're all rednecks, but he's the guy who's like, they shot me in my taint. They shot me in my taint. And his dad is there, and his dad keeps talking about having sex with his mom. I don't know why it's like level 12 or 12th grade writing, but it cracks me up. I love that guy. Yeah. What were you gonna say? Yeah. You were gonna add one too?
No, what the hell was I gonna say, dude?
Oh God, we've had 2 interruptions result in
Ubisoft.
non-answers.
We were talking about Ubisoft, right?
Assassin's Creed, maybe.
Assassin's Creed. Yeah. It was cool meeting Socrates and what
one was that?
The Odyssey.
Was that Odyssey?
Greek. Yeah. So was it Socrates? Yeah,
it was
Socrates.
Yeah,
right? It was really really cool. The priest from Kingdom Come Deliverance was awesome.
Yeah,
man.
the priest from Kingdom Come was great, man. That was just they just did a good
that
job.
Quest still to this day.
Just being super hungover and having to deliver a sermon, and the guy's like burping and shit, man. It was so good.
Amazing.
So good.
With Assassin's Creeds, I would say Ben Franklin, pretty much all of the historical characters I've enjoyed in that game. I think they've all been, I mean, they're not obviously historically right. I think our histories are even screwed up. But overall, I've really enjoyed them.
Yeah.
I'm talking about come on.
Oh shit! Even in Kingdom Come, there was one of the very early characters you meet where you think you're gonna hate the shit out of him, but he becomes like the best fucking character in the game.
They wrote him well. It's not John. I can't remember his name, but I do remember you think at the starting he's going to be the atypical backstabbing dickhead, and instead he turns out to be like one of the better characters in the game.
Man.
Yep, bros. Yeah, those are always well done. I'm trying to think if there's Final Fantasy, Assassin's Creed's has got some. I do like Eivor's. Not Eivor's. You can romance her, but the war maiden who runs your home in Valhalla. I really did like her, and she's the one married to what's his name, your brother.
Oh, that love triangle shit.
That love triangle was done fantastically well for an Assassin's Creed game, because I don't think they always hit that quite off the mark.
No, the main story in Valhalla was surprisingly a lot of it was well written, man.
It was just that it was.
Yeah.
It was half of your life, man. We look like Sarah from Starfield when we're done. We all look aged and weathered by the time you're done with Valhalla's main story. What's the other one in... did you guys like anybody in Origins? Like, some of the people Bayek meets? Oh, you didn't?
I don't... Because you were so, like, lonesome, too, in that game.
I didn't like deserts that much, I'm not a huge fan of deserts.
Oh, really? In games? I think... I'm not either, but I do feel they handled that one well.
It was beautiful, man.
Yeah, it was beautiful to look at.
Very, very nice.
Just riding around. That looks to me like I think Assassin's Creed 1 looked. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
My brain tells me Assassin's Creed 1 looks like that, and then I see Assassin's Creed 1, I'm like, God damn, it doesn't look anything like that.
It looked bluer.
Remember when they first, I think it was the developer, what's her name? She's the one who was the lead for Assassin's Creed 1, but not Sarah. So I can't remember. But anyway, I remember her walking out and showing Assassin's Creed 1. And when I saw Origins, my brain was like, "Oh, that's what that looked like." Because I remember first seeing Assassin's Creed 1 at the showcase and being like, "Wow."
Yeah.
Because back then it did look awesome.
When they showed like him on the tower of the
he was climbing up a tower, and I remember she was talking about social stealth and all this stuff, and I was like, "Oh my God, Jade Raymond."
Like, oh my God, an
Jade
assassin
Raymond.
game, dude. It was like a new thing, dude. Oh my God.
Remember when Assassin's Creed games were I'm just joking. We don't need to get into that conversation.
And then you hold right trigger to like auto climb and shit, man. It was revolutionary.
Pitchfork says I'm a bit behind, but Nick Valentine in Fallout was great. Yep, Nick Valentine was awesome. There was actually a couple in Fallout I liked.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the real question though. What's one you hated?
Ooh, a lot.
Hated. Like maybe
I disliked Sarah from Starfield a lot.
Did you? Actively disliked Sarah? Okay, that's fair. What about you, Johnny? Are there any NPCs in a game that you played that you just really did not like? Sorry.
I didn't like Ashley in Mass Effect.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh boy.
Fair enough.
Rubbed me the wrong way.
I would just like to thank Johnny for his past time on the podcast.
We're done.
And it's been great.
I killed her.
But you killed Ashley?
I killed Ashley.
Oh, right, because you were the cretin who kept Caden.
I didn't like both of them.
As much as I disliked Ashley, I wish I had kept her instead.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
me too.
Dude.
Me too.
Trust me, you do.
Was bland.
Bland as shit. He was he was so milquetoast that even later, when he's alive, even there, like, nah, there's not much here.
Same Preston.
That's what I was going to bring up, but I didn't think you'd know Preston Garvey, right?
Yeah.
I didn't assume you guys would remember him too much, but I guess we all remember. I don't know. I wasn't that. I mean, I guess he was. It didn't really. Where's the unsub button? Warpig says, yeah, exactly. I mean, keeping Caden alive.
Preston is why I like parts of Nuka World. Let's just put it that way.
Let's put it that way. Yeah, let's into there. I know what you're talking about some of the stuff. Yeah. Caden was horrible. People are saying Caden was too boring. Caden was horrible. Are we having a waifu war right now? Not a war. I think we all agree. I mean, the Ashley thing, I can let, Johnny's not, he's his own guy. He can like what he wants, but I don't know why.
What did I feel like I've hated companions. I feel like I've hated companions.
I personally feel like when Starfield, I can see why people dislike them, because they all hold that thing. They all hold you to the line that feels weird. Like, why are they mad about this if they know all the shit? You get attacked by pirates a couple thousand times. You would assume everybody'd be okay if you were randomly coming up and sniping
I was
pirates.
hoping Constellation, would be neutral. Yeah.
Welcome to Romulus Remus. I think your name is covered up by a little star. As a welcome new member, thank you very much for joining. I appreciate it. Appreciate anybody becoming members. It's been awesome seeing you guys back in the Discord, coming into Discord. Let's see, what else do we have? How about this? What's the best art design you've ever seen in a video game? Now, before you answer, truly best art design, meaning it doesn't matter if it's good graphics, speed, or the FPS is perfect. I just want to say that because I have a feeling I know some answers. But if it's just the best art design, like you looked at it and you were like, this art design absolutely is my shit.
Oof. I think
I'll give
Ori.
an answer that's... see?
Go for it. Sorry.
No, you go. You go. Go ahead and go with Ori.
No, just Ori. Yeah, Ori and Blind Forest. But you were going to say you were thinking in a different direction.
Mine was that one, and then I thought of a game that no one will agree with me because it doesn't look great. But I still think Life is Strange is probably because of the use of color for bringing nostalgia. And there's a part in Life is Strange where you're watching your friend dance on the bed and you're smoking joints and she's dancing and the light's coming in and you can see the smoke coming. It was like that thing where I was like, oh, damn, they nailed that. Like they nailed the color use and the soft colors versus like... Even true colors, I think, went a little harder. But Ori's hard to beat, man. What about you, Abzi? Any game that you've just been like, this is an art piece?
Ooh. Now, Elden Ring had moments.
For sure.
Nice, like painting moments that I loved, and I think it nailed that. I liked Tales of Arise was fantastic.
I liked a lot of the parts in Tales of Arise. It hasn't caught on as much, I don't think. It feels like that game just sort of was like here and gone.
It's just like graphically for like translating anime into a game. I feel like it did it best. You know what I mean?
The other one for me is I don't think I've ever been stunned graphically as much as I was in Horizon Zero Dawn. There's a part where I came down into a valley and I remember going, that's Bob Ross. If Bob Ross saw dinosaurs and neon in his Bob Ross paint. It was a moment where I was like, it was everything. Graphically, it was delivering. It wasn't skipping frames, and it just looked
that like
ridiculous.
Las Vegas location, especially at night with the lights.
Dude, it's ridiculous what they've done with that game. Go ahead, Abzi.
I have one that my friend vehemently disagrees with me on, but like you might find it surprising because it's way more moot. I just love what they did with Control, just the very minimal, like super kind of businessy or bureaucratic kind of vibe with like the colors, like the red just popping up like that. I loved the art direction there.
They did a good job with making you feel like you're the bureaucracy art style. I don't know any other way to say it, but there was something about that was like,
triangles,
and almost like the TV shows, like a Black Mirror episode or something, where you see like the bureaucracy of like the universe working. Or there was something Control did awesome. And the first time you see a level adjusting in Control, and you see shit moving around like Jenga, and you're like, what? This is awesome. I will say, again, I was looking for snips for this video, and I was watching the Doc Ock fight in Spider-Man 1. And I got to tell you, I don't know where they came up with that magic, but that shit looked better than the movies.
On like the PS1?
No, the PS4. No, these new ones, Insomniacs.
Oh, okay.
And there's a fight. No. He's fighting Doc Ock, and it is just, I mean, the lighting. It was at night, and they both had somewhat matching suits. His is, I think they're both yellow at this time. And I was just like, God damn! Like they know how to make a game look a certain way. Like I don't know what magic they have, but I mean, Sony's good at, or their devs are good at capturing the power of that system, because that shit was awesome.
Dude, they are, and like the Uncharted guys.
Yes.
You know, I mean, Naughty Dog, they squeeze every bit of performance.
Dude, the hero moment, you played it too, right? The Lost Legacy one, Johnny?
Yeah.
That hero moment when you walk out and the airplanes go by and they're dropping bombs on the city, and that was just... Absy's got DMT. Oh, you gotta see him. I think he's trying to
catching flies.
But when the missiles come and they're dropping the bombs on the city, and she's walking out, and I remember just going like, "What the?" They know their hero moments. Ghost of Tsushima, somebody were bringing up too. Yeah. Ghost is pretty good, I would say. Weirdly enough, maybe because I had already seen Horizon. Ghost looked amazing, but Horizon still.
I think Ghost had the moments like with the sunrise and you're in the jewel and they like zoom in the katana as you unsheath and you hear the sound and everything. That's really
Ghosts done. I mean, obviously the grass and stuff, it felt like the world was dynamic for one of the first times. And have you guys ever seen the games where the wind blows and you see the bush go and it looks fake? And then you go to Ghost of Tsushima and the wind blows like over the grass, and the grass moves.
Ghost is almost too much because there's so many particles floating at all times.
Yeah, there's been times where I'm playing Ghost and I'm all, okay.
I'm excited to play it again.
Part am I supposed to take? Are you going to do the PC one?
Yeah, I think so. If it's a good port, yeah.
Full double dip.
I think when it comes to that game, I'm going to be very interested what their frame rate is, because they do the particle systems differently. The grasses particles versus grass blades, little things they do that'll be interesting to see how graphics cards on the PC, how they ported it.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for that. I think they know their ports. I think they're pretty dialed in with how to move their shit from PlayStation. I don't want to say that because this will be the one time where fucking thing falls apart. But I feel like it's locked in pretty well. Sony seems to have done good by buying a dev that knows how to port, and it seems to have worked out. It's it's better than, what is it, Iron Galaxy or whatever.
Yeah, and this Spider-Man game was pretty good, right? The PC port.
All of them have been better, other than that one. Wasn't it Last of Us that came out? That one was in rough shape.
And that one became good after like some fixes. So, and it looked incredible still to this day. One of the better looking games on PC.
So here's some of the ones I'm reading. Warpig says Outer Worlds. Terrence says Journey. I've seen Journey mentioned at least 6 times. Death Stranding. I would admit Death Stranding. Death Stranding had a way of displaying what I think of Scottish or Irish, like the green, verdant, really green, piercing, almost grass plains. They did that spot on, man. Like that, even though that's all you do is walk around. Whatever. Just joking. Standing on a tall neck at night is primo, Warpig says. Dude, climbing up to a tall neck the first time was one of those moments, man. They did that awesome. Resident Evil, or seeing, and you hear the and you're like, what is that? And that thing comes around and how majestically and like slow. All the animation was perfect. It wasn't like it did. You've seen characters that move too fast as a big guy. A lot of times to hit you as a boss or what have you. But what else do we got? Resident Evil, Journey, Tales of Arise. A lot of people say there's like 6 Tales of Arise. Oh, Cuphead. Duh.
Ooh, yeah, of course.
I should have mentioned Cuphead. Cuphead might not get a lot of votes because a lot of people, I think, bounced or didn't even get it because of the difficulty. Right? Like, I know a lot of people who are all, I'm hearing stories about the difficulty. It seems to be rough. I'm probably going to skip it. BioShock Infinite.
Because the sound as well, like they married the sound aspect to the art style so well.
Yeah.
Like the old cartoon.
Let's see. Blood and Wine. Why Blood and Wine above Witcher 3? What was in Blood? Was there what was it?
It's like colorful, vibrant colors in the environment. It looked better than
the original.
What was it? Yeah.
So it was a new land you went to? Because you guys have done this one. I just did the original and then did a little bit of.
It was almost like a dream location because it looked a bit like more colorful than a normal place, would be.
Yeah, it's like winelands, vineyards and shit like that versus No Man's Land.
Almost like a little fairy tale pocket.
Yeah.
Let's see. Terrence says the Scottish Highlands in Death Stranding where it's set in America. LOL. I wasn't saying it was set in fucking. I was saying Jesus, there's always somebody. I get turned off when a game is clearly skimping out on physics and making the world feel alive.
Yeah, interactivity and environments. It
matters.
depends on the game. But
It depends on the game. I mean, I think more interactivity, it seems like, the less they can do. And then somebody mentioned a game that I think absolutely deserves to be on the list, Mirror's Edge. Mirror's Edge was... Dude, that game looked cyberpunky. Yeah. It had the color...
Very clean.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say, not a ton of colors, but the colors they did, and they remind me of Half-Life a little bit with the orange. And like something about Half-Life, especially the bad guys, I can't remember their names, but the robot bad guys are dressed like robots. There was something in Half-Life 2 in particular I really liked its art style. Oh, what else do we got? What are we at? Oh man, we're at 3 hours 20 minutes. Dude, I thought we were like 2 hours in. Okay, everybody in chat, if you have any other questions, let's go. Write them down. We'll do a quick QA session, and then we'll let these guys out. Johnny's probably back teeth are floating from having to pee. I didn't even realize what time it was. Psychonauts 2, that's another one.
Oh, yeah. That's
Psychonauts 2.
That's a perfect game, actually.
If you say top-tier platformers, that one is in the top, like 10 minimum. And I'm just saying 10 because I'm sure somebody will remind me of the other 9. But Addy says, mozzarella sticks, ?
How dare you talk about food right now? I'm super hungry.
Yeah.
Kaney says, do you guys prefer jungle or desert? Well, I think Abs is jungle.
Easily.
I think jungle, yeah. I mean, desert was done right in Origins, but it can be pretty boring, you know.
Yeah.
They did the Oasis parts right, though. I think maybe what I like about Origins is coming out of the desert into like one of the cities and seeing that versus maybe the desert. Any suggestions for dinner? Got a smiley face. At this point, I think Johnny will eat anything, even like
Dude,
old crusty mozzarella stick.
Oh yeah.
The Ascent was awesome.
I will eat a full-on cold mozzarella stick from like 2 days ago.
Like very, very hardened
questionable mozzarella sticks. Yeah, dude. I don't know if they'll make you sick, but I've certainly not cooked one well enough to and still ate it. Been like, it's not that it's cold, but it's warm inside. I'm like, oh fuck it, I'm not gonna waste time.
I've never been unhappy or sick about eating something like that.
Yeah. What were you saying, Absy?
I just said scorn because I saw scorn in chat.
I know, I saw that as well. Mozzarella sticks for dinner sounds great, though. Don't dip them in the bucket. I don't know what that means. With vinegar? ? No. Froggy says, am I making a mistake doing Renegade in my first Mass Effect playthrough? No. I think they did a good job in Renegade. You can play any way you want in Mass Effect, and I think come out with except for the very last choice.
Always punch the newscaster.
Did anybody not punch her? Like, that would be something I would be really interesting to see, because, dude, she was at the edge of the precipice of,
Did you punch?
I feel like everybody punched her.
I remember one of the DLCs, the main, I guess you can call him antagonist of the DLC, the one with the brothers, did something so horrendous that the good option was punching him.
There you go. That's how you know that's how you know you've got a bad guy, when the Paragon is just to punch them. Try to knock them out as a good choice. Ascent does have good world design. Game, though, is hard to get into. Yeah. Well, we're not talking about that, but yeah, I mean, I think a lot of these, I had a difficult time getting in a Journey and staying connected to it for some reason, but that one's definitely up there. Let's see. Stalker, Batman. I would say the Batman games still look good. Well, at least maybe the last two. I did play, was Asylum recently?
Yeah.
That one shows its fucking age really bad.
Does,
yeah. That one's at the precipice of being like, we need a remake. Metro? Yeah, the Metro games are phenomenal looking. I was looking at 2033 yesterday. That game,
dude, they do
it could pass for current. Yes.
So
and transparent, the water beads on like surfaces on your eyes and stuff is just they
the
did
visor
awesome.
And everything. Yeah, especially with a game that's so reliant on light and being in the dark and stuff like that.
They did awesome. All right, everybody, we're going to wrap it up right now. If you get a chance, come to the Patreon. I would absolutely appreciate it if you like podcasts like this. Johnny's going to be streaming tomorrow at 6 a.m. Pacific time, I think is what we figured out.
Correct. Yeah.
And what are you going to be streaming?
I'm doing like community stream where we play League of Legends games with the viewers. So if you want to join us, can come in, have a good time.
And if you guys want to join me, it's in Patreon or YouTube. You can jump in, play some games with us. I think that's what we'll be doing this entire weekend. Peace out, everybody. I hope you guys have an awesome week. Thanks to these guys for sticking around for this long. Go get something to eat and then enjoy some games. Boom dazzle. Good, we wrapped that one up quick, too.